Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Chavira, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors: Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Conix, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Yord Watches, Car Shield, Rocket Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.
Well, here we are, State Wars Hockey Podcast number 17 on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. What's today? June 2nd?
Yeah.
June 2nd. Can't believe it's June already. Welcome you guys here, Glass Half Full Productions. I'm here at Tim McManus with Greg Thompson, State Wars Hockey Podcast. What's going on today, GT?
Yeah, nothing good, nothing new over here. Just kind of hanging around. We've been hanging with some family last couple of days, which has been cool. Other than that, just lots of trips to Lowe's, getting little things we need for the house and, flowers and stuff like that. Other than that, nothing too much here. What's up with you guys?
Yeah, no, not much. It's just another day here, just trying to stay sane here with this crazy world and whatnot. So, just hanging out with the family, doing homework, doing all the normal stuff, gearing up every day. I feel like doing more and more work towards State Wars this summer. Yeah. Having really good conversations with the rink in Fort Wayne. They actually sent me a contract the other day. So it looks like we will be moving State Wars to Fort Wayne, Indiana this summer. Michigan, like we said a week ago, is just not getting going with their rinks, but Fort Wayne has opened their rink. So we're in the process now of just finalizing the dates. I was hoping today to be able to announce the new block dates. Looks like the tournament's going to start on July 30th and run through August 9th. But hopefully by Thursday, I can announce the new block dates. I was hoping to have that done today, but haven't gotten 100% confirmation yet. It's just frustrating dealing with all the unknowns that we're dealing with. So, it's like everywhere else. We're moving forward. We got a rink that wants us to be there. We got a safe facility. Doing a lot of extra work, spending a lot of extra money for extra precautions and extra cleanings and sanitizing and all different things we're gonna have to do this year to make it a better environment for everyone. But we got to do it. And just when you go to the top levels of the state, getting approvals from the health officials and that stuff, it takes a while and it's a slow process. And quite honestly, State Wars Hockey is, I'm sure, not at the top of their list of things to be concerned about. So. But things are moving forward in a good way. We hope again this week to have final confirmation on everything with that. But definitely feeling good about it. And that's really the biggest thing to update everyone on with State Wars.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know, it's weird how, some states are like fully open. I see our friends out in Missouri and even I saw Dan Costanza post something about his practices for his teams. So I'm not sure if they're allowed to have full capacity during their practices or what, but the rink out there, it seems like it's open. And, obviously, like I said, our friends in Missouri, they're going out to eat. Restaurants are open, obviously at a smaller capacity, but still pretty cool. And it's cool to see things moving in a positive direction.
Yeah, no, for sure. Things definitely moving along. And, every state's different and people, let's face it, you can go to different spots and maybe not do what you're supposed to and get away with it and go play and do whatever. Yeah. Obviously, with everything going on in the world right now, we're seeing large groups together and whatnot. So I don't know how that's going to change things as far as what they're allowing and not allowing. But yeah, it's just crazy. Every state's different. Indiana is one of those states that has opened up. Mm-hmm. The most difficult part, not to get too informational with this, but what's hard about it is, so in Indiana, they have a 5-phase program, and phase 5 is their final phase where the state's opened up 100%. So that's supposed to start July 4th. And June 14th is supposed to start phase 4 for them, which is 50% occupancy everywhere. So right now they're still in phase 3. So really what it comes down to is no one wants to comment on phase 5 when phase 3 is still going on, because you can never know. If tomorrow there's a huge spike, listen, Florida and Georgia are wide open right now. There's a huge spike tomorrow, all of a sudden Florida could be shut down. So they don't want to comment on anything in the future, knowing that what if phase 4 gets pushed back 2 weeks? That means phase 5 is going to get pushed back 2 weeks, and so on. So, it's kind of like everything's a risk right now, booking anything, of course, but we feel pretty good about it. Even if phase 5 is supposed to open up there July 4th and our tournament starts July 30th, we're still almost a month away from their opening. So even if they pushed it back slightly, I still feel pretty good about it. But obviously, in this crazy world, as we see every day, brings us new challenges.
Totally. Yeah, hopefully we'll get some answers soon. I feel like a broken record, but people are probably getting sick and tired of us, just kind of telling the same old thing. But we're just waiting.
Yeah, and we can lie to everyone and say different things, but we try to be just transparent and give the honest answers of the updates. So that's just where it is. And like I said last week, no one in the world wants this event off and running more than we do. So trust me, we're all there with you. But I definitely feel good about it. And getting that contract from the rink the other day at least tells me that the rink wants us there, which is the first battle. I know the local city does. So hopefully on Thursday, again, we could have new block dates out to everyone for this year's tournament.
Cool.
Let's do some birthdays, GT, today. Let's see here. So birthdays. So we have Nabil Gurges, our old buddy that used to work for Revision Hockey. See, it's his birthday today. California boy. So we saw him out at Winter Wars this year. It was good to see him. Haven't seen him much over the last few years since he kind of got out of the sport, unfortunately. So happy birthday to Nabil. And I saw yesterday was our boy Ryan McNorton, Bonzi, Kyle Kramer's brother. His birthday was on Monday. So a shout out to Bonzi there. And tomorrow, don't see too many birthdays for tomorrow that I see here. Greg, you got anybody on your end?
Yeah, we got Jared Mars birthday today as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Jared's. And then we also have old school Missouri player Jake Amlong as well.
Oh wow, okay. Well, happy birthday to Jake and to Jared.
Which is because Jake was a longtime teammate of Johnny Mack's. He's an '89 and he's just turning 31 today. So pretty crazy. Yeah. So let's talk about our guests today. We didn't really talk about that. We didn't touch on that. We have two awesome guests today. Two of the best players ever, like I said in our post, to lace up the wheels, and two of the best goal scorers I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
We're fortunate enough to have them on today. And Johnny Mack, obviously we know him very, very well, Long Island native, and we go way back with Johnny, and it's pretty awesome to see him grow up. Throughout the ranks. When he was just a little kid, skating around 8 and under, we always knew he was going to be a phenomenal goal scorer, and he didn't lose a beat. Even now he's not really playing pro and tournaments and stuff like that, but throw him out there, he'll be deadly. I think he's getting his game back, and we'll have to ask him if he plans on making another return. Then obviously we have our boy Itan Chavira, who's been around the game for the longest time. And, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen him on YouTube and doing all these crazy trick shots and on Cali street hockey lately. But Ethan's got a huge, huge resume in the sport. And he's on that strong powerhouse Palma Leveda Golden Knight team this year. So I'm sure we'll talk to him a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Two of the best, like you said. I'm real excited for today. Hasn't been too many episodes where we got two guys on the same time that were just, at different points of their careers, arguably one of the best in the game. It's funny with Etan. I think, today social media has gotten so big and there's so many guys doing their videos now, and everyone's got a highlight reel video and something they're doing today. I feel like Etan was doing that stuff way back before anybody. I know he's doing it again now with the Cali street hockey and stuff. We talked about that with John Seamer.
Yeah.
But I feel like years ago, before it was the in thing, he was doing that stuff, right? I remember him being on videos and whatnot doing it.
He was doing his little Dangle Productions thing.
Yep.
And skating up walls and rinks and boards and doing all this crazy ass stuff. But pretty cool. And within the last couple of years, he's gotten his game back. He took a few years off. He was getting a little chubby. And Yeah, he got back, man. He's like no other right now. He's skating hard and fast and sniping. So
Yeah, no.
just need to see Johnny Mack back in the tournament scene.
Yeah, no. Definitely definitely love to have Johnny Mack playing again, Love seeing his dad at the rink, obviously, another character in the sport. I'm sure we'll talk to Johnny a little about his dad and his influence with him. But, if you know Johnny Mack Jr., you know Johnny Mack Sr. So, definitely a great hockey family, been around since day one, living in New York, obviously. I got to coach Johnny 1 year with the Snipers back in, I think it was 99 in Atlanta when he was only 10 years old. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So I got to be a part of that when he was little. And then obviously coach him a little bit later on with 495ers or Pi-Ha stuff later on. But, just a phenomenal pure goal scorer. I know we throw that name around a lot with pure goal scorer when we talk about Matt White and Travis Noah and some of the guys. But Johnny Mack purely was that. Just you throw to Johnny Mack, goal scorer. You look at a score sheet, no matter what the score was in the game, win or lose, you saw 66 on there with a bunch of goals. So just a natural for sure.
A natural, yeah. And he was a very good athlete growing up too. I know he played a lot of baseball, a lot of basketball, and he was always very good at everything he did. And now he's into fitness and seems like he's doing very well with that. So everything he does, he's a perfectionist with. So we'll talk to him a little bit more about what he's doing now and his personal training and stuff like that. And obviously we'll talk to Ethan a little bit more about his Shovelwell coffee. I always see these little Instagram videos of him delivering coffee to all different, residents in the area and stores, stuff like that. So we'll have to ask him a little bit more about that and let him spread the word about his Travelwell coffee. So.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I feel like Etan does a million different things in a day. I watched the video and he's in one breath, he's in Vegas skating around the streets, and then he's delivering coffee to a neighborhood in California with his other business.
Yeah.
It's like he's all over the map. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
All that coffee he drinks, he gives him a lot of energy.
Yeah, with all those dogs he has too, right? Doesn't he have a bunch of dogs?
Does he? I don't know that.
I think he's got a bunch of dogs. Yeah, it'd be awesome to go through his childhood and how he started and so on. Anything new on TV, Tim? I haven't really been watching anything. I've been doing a little bit of the Handmaid's Tale. That's been really good. I'm on season 2, and it's been.
I watched that a long time ago.
Yeah, you recommended it to me a while back, and season 1 was kind of slow for me, and now it's really just picking up, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's cool.
I've been catching up on Billions, so
it's another show I have to catch up on too.
Yeah, so I didn't watch this week's, but I caught up the other 4 episodes of this season. So this season's been pretty good. So when I started watching, I realized I must have missed the last couple episodes last season. So I caught up on those, and then this season I watched the first 4. So I think that episode 5 was on Sunday night. Yeah, just another great show.
Yeah, I know our boy George Collins always raves about it, and I have to go back and see what I've missed. I forgot where, but I always love that show. It's been really cool. Another show that's underrated is it's called whatchamacallit, not SWAT, but SEAL Team.
Okay.
So I love all that stuff. I love those old war movies and like current war movies and stuff like that. But there's a show on I think it's CBS. It's called SEAL Team, and it's pretty neat. There's been a couple seasons. If you're into that stuff, go back and check it out.
Cool. All right. Well, without further ado, here, let's get our first guest, Itan Chavira, up here, and we'll see what he's got going on. Let's bring Etan in. Hold on a second here.
Tim, I'm disabled, by the way, for the screen. Again.
All right, here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Chavira, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
What up, boys? Yeah.
There he is.
Get this in real quick. How's it going?
The Karate Kid? Who is that?
Little Albert Einstein, young Albert Einstein right here, baby.
There you go.
How you guys doing?
Guy.
You look like the professor from Back to the Future.
No, that's so funny. I was going for that cholo look. You ever seen the cholo fit?
No.
You guys got to watch that, man. It's insane. It's a cholo that's doing aerobics, and he's teaching it the real way. So he's like, when you're sitting back and you're laying down, when you're at your barbecue, just get in that cholo stance. It's hilarious, man. I wish I knew a better impersonation, but yeah.
Sounded good to me.
What's up with you, man?
Buddy? How's everything going out in California, your neck of the woods? How you doing? Okay.
Good. Yeah, the COVID was it kind of didn't feel like a COVID for me for a little bit because we were out delivering for Travel Well Coffee. So we were staying busy for that. But the last couple of days, it's been crazy, man. It's getting into riots, and they just had a protest in our city because we're like we're the second to last city of LA County. So there was a protest by our place yesterday, and man, nothing happened. But the city got prepared. Everybody was boarding up their shops in downtown because I'm right next to the downtown area. So the local board shop by us that sells like the hockey apparel, if you guys see that I wear. Yeah. They had a crew in front. They had about like 15 people in front. So they're like, if you guys want to come and play, let's go. So
Right.
It was pretty crazy, but nothing happened. So
It's good.
that was good. But yeah, a good protest. I was watching, actually, so cool about social media. I was able to watch the live protest on the bridge, which is like less than a mile away from my house. And the protesters were praying. They were praying, and they're all getting together. So whatever it was, I mean, if it was a church group that got together or just the people in general, man, and somebody just leading the prayer, it was pretty cool to see. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to moving past the violence part of this whole thing and just deal with the positivities of it, how we can make a difference, and the working together, and hopefully enough with the violence part. It only leads to more violence, it seems like. So we don't need that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's it seemed like it was getting better. Shops were opening up down here. The malls, LA County is such a big county, right? So we're going to be like the last people that are going to open up fully.
Okay.
But yeah, barbershops opened up. Our malls are trying to open up in the next on the 5th, actually, so in 3 days.
Wow.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens, so yeah, overall crazy times right now. It's weird where you, like today, me and the lady were just watching some news, and then we turned it off because you only can watch so much, right?
Yeah.
And then we just looked at each other like, man, this is pretty crazy what we're going through right now. So yeah,
2020 hasn't been the greatest start to a year, so hopefully the second half of this year can be better than the first half.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Let's get into some good talk. Let's talk a little bit about hockey, and about we're going to start out first, talk about some hockey with you at State Wars to start. So in 2010 was your first experience coming out playing at the tournament. Back then, before we had the pro division, we had our senior AAA, and it developed into our elite division. And you were part of that Palma Cyclone group, representing California to start things out. And, and we'll get into where you are now. And obviously everything's come full circle. But those first few years, 2010, 2011, 2012, you played with the Palma Cyclones. And when I go back and look at that roster, it's a lot of the same dudes. It's Junior Cadiz, it's Jerry Osterkamp, it's your brother, it's you, Olinger, a lot of these same guys, which is so funny. And, you guys in 2010 there, you had a good run. You were 3-1, and then the playoffs, first round right out, you had to play the other California team, the Mission Axiom, and they beat you guys by a goal, 3-2, which kind of had to suck right away to play your buddies from home with that battle. But that's how it goes sometimes. And then the next year in 2011, you played again with Palma, and you went all the way to the championship, but losing to the Missouri Young Guns, which wound up being that new Alkali group of Novak and Kettler and the boys. Do you remember that at all, those first couple of years there playing?
Oh, man. Yeah, the first time I went to State Wars, pretty excited. Where was that again? Indiana or what?
Yeah, I think 2010 was in Chicago, Darien, Illinois. Yeah.
Chicago, yeah. That was the first year. Very excited to go there and, see what the tournament was all about. Cool concept. California has enough good players to make 2 teams we had there. So yeah, being able to play against Mission, pretty much the other pro team. It sucked for sure. You know, we us guys in our group, growing up, we always, you know, we're always in it to win it. So just like you guys, so to get knocked out by another California team, and then did they end up winning it or did they end up losing? They lost, right?
They won in Darien. They won.
Yeah, the Axiom won that year. They knocked you guys out. They wanted to win the whole thing. And then the next year, Young Guns. So technically, the first 2 years, you lost to the team that wanted to win the whole thing. So I guess that's the one saving grace of it.
Yeah.
To the champion, right?
Yeah. So, and then the following year after that was a bad year for me when I got arrested up in Narch in Florida, and then I was like in rehab for like, I don't know, like a month or so, because what was it, like or maybe a few weeks after.
Yeah, a couple weeks after.
But I was in Florida the whole time, and I was not doing rehab, but almost like family rehab, and I was just like in a different. I was actually at Patty's sister's house, and I was there for a couple weeks before State Wars, and they had a big talk like, is he ready to come play? You know, and of course I said all the right things just to go to the tournament, right? So,
right.
But yeah, ended up making it there. So. And it was a little weird tournament. We played good, and that was just the year the boys from Missouri just came out and played some pretty much keep away hockey. I mean, they played smart hockey, and they only had what,
that year
6,
you guys
7 players?
got knocked out by Illinois, the Sting that year. Pete Messina, Pat Lee, like those guys, I think knocked you guys out in the playoffs that year. But yeah, I mean, even in your situation, you had 4 games played, 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists through the round robin in 2012. So still almost 2 points a game. Pretty impressive for a guy that was locked up for a few weeks before he came out there. I'm sure you didn't have your roller skates on too often where you were.
No, not at all. I was just in the house. I think MySpace at the time or something, or a little bit of Facebook. But
right.
But
then, 2015 rolls along and we unleash the Palma Pro Invitational. Our goal, of course, then was to become the top pro division in the sport. And you played that year. You guys put your own squad together, the Puck Fit Indians, to play in pro. And you guys didn't make the playoffs. You guys went 0-2-2. And I'm looking at your roster here that year. And it's pretty impressive. It's Itan Chavira, Corey Hodge, Johnny Mack, Jerry Osterkamp, Joaquin Chavira, Eric Purcell, Austin Cangelosi, Troy Loggins, Kevin Dwyer in goal. Pretty impressive group. And I think it spoke right away to a little bit of the strength of that division that first year to bring a team like that, which could probably sweep up a lot of tournaments. And, you went 0-2-2, like I said. But the 2 ties, though, I mean, you tied the Mudcats 5-5, and I want to talk a little about the Palma game that year. So I was going back looking at some stuff, and my memory came back to me. I remember that game, and you guys were down 3-1 to Palma.
I remember this game.
You went on a tear and scored 3 straight goals and put you guys up 4-3. And with about 2 minutes left in the game, Palma tied. I think it was Dakota Evelyn tied it.
Right.
About 2 minutes left.
Right.
You guys got a tie. So I'm sure getting the tie had to feel pretty good. But at that point, after all that had gone on, I'm sure you probably wanted that game more than anybody.
Of course, because then at the end of that, we actually pulled our goalie because we knew that if we get the go-ahead goal, we can knock them out. And our goal was just to knock out Palma. Obviously, it's called the Palma Invitational, right? So we want to knock out the big dogs, and the history of us being there. But yeah, anytime, I think until now, I'm on the team now, but from any time from what you guys been doing in the Palma Invitational, every time I play Palma, I feel like I have to have my best game. It was always a statement. Always wanted to go back on the team, be on the team, but it just wasn't right. It wasn't in the right time. So anytime we had a chance to play them, hey, we're there to play and try to knock them out either way. Try to make it difficult for them to get it to either playoffs or get them matched up with somebody in the playoffs. So yeah, we tried. We had some good runs for sure. And that was a fun game, man. That definitely was a good game, and it was good group from good old Chris Street, right? He fell off the map, but he did a good job for the time being and trying to put in a new organization together. And I think he did a good job. Just he had his personal problems, but he had a good vision for the sport. He treated it like a professional team, and he had the right players. So Yeah,
I
no,
mean, you
no.
remember Ethan that first year, 2015, when you first got there, and I think you guys drove there, if I remember correctly.
We did. Yeah, we
Yeah.
drove there, man.
I remember that. I remember Jerry telling me that. I was like, "What?" I got tired driving from the airport to the rink, let alone from your house in California. But you remember that first year though, coming in and just seeing the teams and the roster, just feeling like this is a little bit different kind of pro division. I think right away everyone was hit right in the face where this is going to be a real challenge, because you look at your round robin, like I said there, and let's look at your round robin schedule here. I mean, you played Rink Rat, you played Palma. Excuse me, let me go back to that. You played here. Let me go to your team. I was looking at something else. Hold on.
Yeah, no rink rat. I don't think rink
You guys,
no.
you guys played Revision,
revision.
Mudcats,
Palma
Palma.
and Mission Bauer Next Gen. Who
Who
smoked you guys 9-1.
Smoked us. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. We're in the locker room. We're like, all right, boys, we just got to tie this game. We just got to win this game. Let's get into it. Getting all the boys pumped up.
Yeah.
Right off the gate, just get smoked. Oh, that was a
Right.
funny one. But
Do you remember who scored the lone goal for that game?
was it Georgie Barber? Oh, our game.
Yeah.
Oh, our goal. No, I definitely don't. Who was it?
It was defenseman Corey Hodge.
Really? No, nice.
Yeah, doesn't score many goals. But yeah, it's funny because, I always remember the pro division, usually you go to a pro division, you look at the round robin and in your head, you could be flying somewhere and go, all right, I know we're going to win this one. We're going to win that one. This will be the tough one of our match. And we got to, you look at that round robin and you're coming in going, holy shit, our team's pretty good, but every game is going to be tough. And sure enough, go 2-2. That's what I think that was a surprise factor to guys and what we were trying to build with that, of making every game tough and wanting to have a crowd every game, like knowing that, hey, people are going to show up to watch a good game. They don't want to watch an 8-0 game in the pro division.
No, definitely not.
9-1 game.
I mean, any game could go like that. I mean, you got to be ready, right? It's mentally, even though we thought we were mentally ready, we weren't. As soon as they scored the first couple goals, there's a little bit of tripping on the bench. There actually wasn't really a coach. It was just players kind of just doing the best they could on leadership. And then that was our problem the whole time. We never really had a backbone, really. So when we started up the Rink Rat group, we're at a tournament. I think we were just joking around, and somebody chirped like, "You guys should get Dan out there." And we're like, "Yeah." And I thought in my head, I'm like, "Well, hockey down or what?" And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Whatever." He seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
And so we brought him on the bench, and then that's how we started our relationship with Dan. And then he pretty much enhanced it and really, got right into it and became his own. So when I made the switch, I knew how hard it was because, it was a good few years with us together, and he was really into it. So.
Yeah, and even before you went to Rink Rat, that second year, you guys had that Ribeiro Cyprus team. And again, I look at the roster: Kyle Novak, Junior Cadiz, Itan Chavira, Joaquin Chavira, Jerry Osterkamp, Corey Hodge, Jalen Krogman,
Right.
Another just name after name, great players. And, again, didn't make the playoffs. Just again, speaking of the strength of the tournament, you guys, lost, I think, 2 shootout games that tournament.
Yeah.
So,
we win those, what happens, right?
Right.
The ball gets going, and here we go. We're making a run. So
Right.
now I've been excited. Been pretty fortunate enough for the work that we put in with Palma in the beginning for us to start up a new organization and players believing in us. So think about it. I mean, any of those teams right there, even the Puck Fit Indians, if we're still together and we actually gave a shit and we pretty much practice or even just played in more tournaments, could be a good team, even with the Ribeiro team as well, right?
Yeah.
So
like you said, it's really important to have a coach. I know as a player, it's tough not having someone behind the bench making the calls, because whoever's making those calls, they always feel like the bad guy, or they don't put
Sure.
themselves out at certain points because they don't want to feel like they're hogging ice time or rink time, and it just gets difficult. And like you said, guys start fighting with each other and arguing and stuff like that. But it's so important to have a backbone on the bench to really regulate and coach.
100%. No, for sure. So I mean, we learned the hard way, and
Yep.
and it's also thinking like roller hockey is just, it's just roller hockey. We don't need a coach. Just go out there and, we'll just put it together and we'll make it work. And it doesn't work like that, man. Like this sport is competitive enough to be like any other pro sport out there. So, I mean, you need all the tools for sure.
And it definitely takes away from the player's game who's being that guy. If you got to be the player coach, no matter, I don't care if you're Matt White or if you're the 8th best player on the team, if you got to be that guy doing both, it takes away from your performance on the rink, so that's difficult. So let's jump right into that rink rat real quick. So obviously you went to rink rat, and in 2018 you accomplished a big deal. You were with your brother, you with Junior, Tommy in goal. You guys had a great group, and not to say anyone's ever an underdog, but I wouldn't think you guys were the favorite going into the tournament in 2018 to win it. Obviously, everyone knew you guys could win it, but I don't think anyone would have put their big bucks on you to win it. I don't think Vegas had you favored to win that tournament.
Oh, talking about big bucks, I was like I think I was 230 going into the tournament, and I ended up dropping like 220. I think like 222 or something crazy at the end of the tournament. Yeah. Talk about like you guys said, the Cinderella story, man. That was actually the turning point of the whole tournament, and it was when you guys lost. When we were waiting for you guys, we were in the middle of the locker room between both rinks. It was Palma versus Alkali, and then you guys versus Border Cats, and I was going back and forth, and I'm just like, I'm getting tired from just going back and forth from watching you guys play. Mm-hmm. And Travis Noe had a big game with John with the game winner, and that game was just insane. And then your guys' game was just weird. It was slow, and then they got a couple goals in, and then you just saw their momentum. Like they were peppering shots, and they were getting quality like shots and getting opportunities more than you guys. Seemed like you guys were like forcing it a lot. But yeah, you guys almost came through, and once the buzzer was gone, man, like it changed the whole momentum of the tournament. I remember going into the locker room and just screaming like, "Boys, snipers are out. This is our day. Let's go." You know what I mean? And seriously, you guys have you guys have the top team. So I was like, this is it. And it changed us. And then the boys were ready to go. And it's crazy how it's just like that one game that can change the whole tournament. And that was the game. Because I wasn't afraid of any team out there besides your guys' team for sure. Because your guys' team, you guys always bring in the big boys, man. You guys got players. You got players that are playing all year round. Everybody else is either a guy that's half foot in, half foot out, playing roller and ice, or playing a lower. Again, your guys are elite guys. You guys are playing AHL. You guys are playing over in other countries. So your boys are ready to play. So once that happened, I was like, we have a chance. We definitely have a chance. And
I've said this numerous times when we were playing that game against the Border Cats. You ever have a game where you just get that feeling during it that we're going to lose this game, and I had that feeling early on in that game, that I had a feeling, and did everything we could to pump the guys up and change things and whatnot, and just wasn't our day. So I'm glad we were able to help motivate you guys. But yeah, you guys got to the playoffs, and right away you play the Mudcats, right? Boom, 5-3, you knock them out. Then you play Palma, which Palma might have outplayed you guys a little bit that game, but Tommy had a game that game.
They did. They outplayed us for sure.
But you need that, right? You need your goalie to step it up in the big one, and you knock them out 4-1, which the score doesn't show that game. And then you play Black Ice in the championship, who, everyone's been all over the Black Ice train at that point. Probably not giving you guys much of a chance there. And you guys came out and scored the first one, then scored the second one. And, you still, everyone had to hold on to their seats at the end there. But we're going to show a couple goals from that game that kept the momentum going, and how much you meant to these goals here. So let's roll this, Greg. This is 1-0 Rink Rat now, and they're going to go up 2-0 here by Itan Chavira.
To him, threw it to the front of the net. The first stop was made by Machinsky, a beautiful one, and then he put in the rebound. Chavira looking for a 2-0 lead. Backhand shot, he scores!
Like, just look at how explosive.
Oh man, what a fucking day, man! That day was amazing. Seriously.
That was a great pass by Junior right off the board.
Seriously.
So when you see a guy like Junior Cadiz, you guys have played together so much. I'm assuming that, like, I had players that I played with that we just could close our eyes, know what each other are doing. I'm assuming as soon as he picked up that puck, you broke the space knowing he's going to look for you, because sure that's a set play, right? Wanting to get behind the D, right? Get a breakaway.
Yeah, I mean, we've done that play numerous times, overseas and everywhere. But so it's just that opportunity of getting open, playing chess. So luring a guy as low as possible to the blue line and then cutting the brakes and going the opposite way. But Junior, man, he had a good game. He had a great day that day, and he found me. What do you have, a hat trick that game with probably 2 assists, 5 points?
We're gonna play another one here.
Oh, this one's a funny one. Actually, this
Really
is
doing it. Abby and
this is so
Olivia
good.
Weiss, just got to give a shout out. Aaron asked me to do that, so got to give Dad says hello. Dad's down by 1, but hopefully for Dad they can get one.
Itan Chavira gets a break into the zone, back over in front, they score!
Listen to me, PJ, why did that happen?
Great forecheck by Etan. Who's all over the puck. Sorry, by Junior. Junior was on the puck. Etan swung, picked it up.
Okay, but before the face-off even happened, who had the momentum?
Junior.
Black ice.
Black guy.
Now,
Yeah,
Itan,
so-
before I jump in there, you were about to say something about that. So jump in what you were going to say before that goal.
Oh, geez, man. That was the best thing of all time. So PJ DiMartino is out there. They score. They end up, he goes on the bench, and he just starts chirping. I forget what the exact word he says. He says, get these boys fucking, he said, he was pointing towards me. Something like, boy's fat. He's out of shape. We got this. And then the next play was that. And we just that was just the most.
That was like the nail in the coffin.
The
man.
nail in the coffin for sure. Yeah, that was a good goal. I'll remember that goal forever, just because of that chirp,
Yeah.
that play right after, and then just shutting them up. So,
See, what I think of there is, as a coach, and we've talked about this 100 times, Greg and I, is we always talk about face-offs on the snipers.
Sure.
And I think a lot of teams ignore face-offs. And, Black Ice scores there, and we didn't see their goal, but they made it 2-1.
Broken play.
And you got to assume now momentum's going their way a little bit. And let's face it, they're the favorite going in. So you guys just give a goal. If they score the next one, you guys might be done, right? Because
Easily, yeah.
there's some doubt maybe playing those guys, and they're just going to get more and more confidence as the game goes on. So they go up 2-1, maybe a little cocky, maybe not. I don't know. Go into that draw just thinking, all right, we're going to win this game now. And you guys win the draw back. But then Black Ice gets the puck, and they make a play that I always talk about that drives me nuts in roller hockey, is guys like to blindly throw the puck back, assuming that no one's going to be there except for their own team.
right.
And Junior had read that, and he forechecked, I think it was Kozlow on defense, and forced him. And then you were right behind. So when he chipped that puck to no one, you pick it up. Whereas it all starts from that blind pass back. And that's actually when we played for in Barcelona last year, Team USA. That's one of our adjustments we made with the Czechs, was they like to do stuff like that, where we kept our guys deep back, staying with the late man all the time, and they didn't have that outlet pass back. And you can see it clear off that. And then you score, you guys score, you make a great pass to Junior, and boom, you got the momentum right back. And like you said, if that goal doesn't happen, I don't know if you guys win that game.
Yeah, who knows, right? I mean, and if and that ref doesn't call that penalty on Junior, who knows, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, there's little things like that. I looked at that whole scenario of things. I watched that game probably 10 times.
Get you
but
going still, right?
it gets me going still, because I just look at it like, man, I was at 230 from your tournaments, and right now I'm at 196. And so to be playing at a competitive division at that weight, it just motivated me to lose weight. And then if I was still able to hang with the top guys out there, I mean, that's my motivation right now, is just to lose weight and just get faster and be lighter on my feet. But yeah, no, seriously, that's a game I always remember. And that's
where does that game rank up with you, Itan? I mean, you've won obviously tours divisions, you've won Narch, you've won Team USA, you've won gold medals, whatever. But just because of where that team was at and who you were playing, I got to assume that one particular game there had to be high up on that list for victories in your life, knowing what an underdog you guys were in that game.
For sure. No, that's for sure probably top 3 in my whole career. Yeah, just because the whole scenario, is just starting a whole new club, being the underdogs, being in that position. What was that, our second year with the club?
Yep.
It's crazy, man. And that's another thing I wanted to get in I've been watching all you guys' podcasts, and you guys were getting into, about the lottery, right? About the 4 teams that want to come in for next year and stuff. And it's crazy how one championship game or one championship win in a big tournament can put a big sponsor back on the map.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So one of the games that I remember when I saw that in the beginning of roller hockey was Haro. Remember Haro back in the day? They won a big tournament up in Las Vegas. And that put them on the map. Coach Dave Fromm was there, and they had a really good team. But him putting a team together, he put the right guys. And that first year they won, and Haro was on the map. Where did Haro come from? They're winners. That's what it was.
They beat us in the semifinals that year at Winter Nationals.
Yeah, it was Winter Nationals. Yeah. So and that's what I just talked. So like talking about the pro division, going off topic, but talking about the pro division. I think it needs to go back to where every team needs to have a big sponsor, or if you don't have a big sponsor, it's going to cost you $5,000 to enter the tournament. You know what I mean? The big dogs want to play with the big dogs. You better have a good roster. Nobody's just going to drop $5,000 on a tournament if they're not that good. You know what I mean? So it almost changes the dynamic of how the division goes.
The hard part in 2020 as opposed to 2000 with that is, you guys are in a very, very specific and lucky scenario with PAMA, where nowadays, Mission, Mission just told me the other day with our sniper team this summer, they can't do anything for us. They can't do uniforms. They can't do pants. They can't do gloves, nothing for us, because with the whole COVID going on, even though inline's been killing it for them, the ice side has done so bad that their budget was cut, so it's tough with these companies. They just don't either have the money or don't spend it. So that's the tough part nowadays. Where back then, because it was so new, guys are just throwing money at teams.
Well, how many sponsors do you have, for an example?
Us at State Wars?
Yeah, you have 10 sponsors?
Yeah, we got a lot.
Yeah, a lot, right? 10, 15 sponsors. Maybe it doesn't have to be 5,000, but maybe give me one of your sponsors. What do you guys got?
Mission, Tour, Alkali.
One of the lower ones.
Top shelf targets.
There you go. Top shelf targets. Boom. Top shelf targets. Their sponsor. Now they have a pro team, and maybe that's the border cats now, right? The top shelf border cats, because now they're in it.
No, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Something like that. That's how I looked at it. But maybe it doesn't have to be 5,000. It could be 3,500. It could be, I know if I was still on Rink Rat, or if I had the Puck Fit Indians, and I felt like I had a good enough team, I would tell the boys, hey boys, like you guys believe in ourselves. We can drop in 3,500 for the tournament, or let's try to get a sponsor to do this. And then the purse goes up, or stuff like that. It just makes it that much deeper and a lot more competitive.
But what do you think about our discussion about the rules? I mean, obviously as a player, we talked mainly with coaches, myself, Rob Chernomid, Jason Muro, about rules, and we're not the guys playing in the pro division. You guys are. I know Greg chimed in a little bit. But for you as a player and still one of the top games and the players in the pro division, do you think the division needs rule changes, or are you pretty happy where the game's at right now?
It's hard. The hard thing about roller hockey is that we play on different size rinks. Like my favorite rinks to play on are ones in Europe, like Rethel in France. They would used to set up this rink every Saturday to play, but it was a real small rink. I like the small rink. Why? Because you got to think quicker. It's really jam packed, and it's fast for the fans. An example, you play in a big rink. I love it. It's cool for a guy that loves speed and picks up the puck and creating room. That's cool. I wouldn't mind like a red line offsides. I wouldn't mind a little bit of like a blue line offsides, and maybe get like like a nice forecheck going. Put some pressure on the D, make them think quicker. Flush them behind the net. Again, the sport is what it is, but it's just hard with all these rinks that we play at. There's no consistency of the same size rink. And that's the hardest part about roller hockey. It's like, are we playing on an NHL size rink? Are we playing on a small rink? That's what's been messed up, I think, with our sport. Every rink that's a roller rink, totally different size.
Right.
So it's hard to get adjusted to.
If you came to State Wars this summer, and we have, in Fort Wayne, a huge NHL size rink, and you got there, and we had put together boards that cut, say, where the blue line is on one end, and made it smaller, do you think most guys would walk in going, this is bullshit? Or you think guys would appreciate that?
I think they'd appreciate it and be like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
all right, we're here to play. This is the fishbowl. Here we go. And maybe not for the old guys. I see Greg shaking his head. But for the young guys, like we're in it. Like I want to be in that best. I want to be forechecking. I want to be able to back check and put pressure on the back end. It's gonna make us stay younger.
On big rinks.
What's that?
You can still forecheck on big rinks.
Yeah, but you need yeah, of course you can. But again, it's gonna make it's a little bit easier to not every guy's gonna be staying man on man. A little bit you can almost be lazy on the smaller rink on your guy and still be covering him and covering space. With a bigger rink, if you're a little bit lazy and a guy just skates just to create some little extra room, then it's just a keep away type of game. So I don't know. I mean, it's
we
up
were
to
in
you.
Barcelona last summer and we're playing World Championships and it's a smaller rink, smaller nets. I liked it. But I think the main reason I liked it was knowing that if it was a full-size rink, the games probably would have got more out of hand and it made the games better because some of the countries aren't as skilled, but they work hard.
There you go. Yep.
But in our division, like that black ice game you guys played, that Sniper Border Cat game, that Alkali Palma game, I mean, those games are so exciting where it's at. So I don't know if we need that with our game here in North America or not, because we have so much talent,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then that just comes down to cutting down how many pro teams you have in the division. Because, again, you don't want to water it down, right? Just because you want, accommodate some of these new teams that want to play. You got to, I know it's a business. So you got to be able to, kind of have to be nice and let these guys have a chance. But,
that's why we cut it to 12. Personally, I think it probably should be 10, really. But we've made it 12 right now.
Because we got some international teams involved,
Good.
Yeah, what's happening this year, and guys are taking our advice is, I was talking to George Brown, like him and the Detroit rink rack guys might combine. The Inferno guys from Pittsburgh and some of the revision guys, like Anthony Merrigan's group from Philly, some of those guys, look, they're working to combine. So that's what we talked about. Some of you guys put your heads together and make a better team together rather than, a mediocre team separate, just to play. And it looks like guys are starting to do that, which I think is going to make the division better for that. Well,
it's up to you, man. Like, I mean, I've been in that position before when I was with the Puck Fit Indians. I said, roster probably like 3-4 times, and you're like, hey, man, you got to make a better roster. So, you got to do what you got to do. So you almost have to be a tough guy on these guys as well, and be like, hey, like, sorry, man, like this is still not good enough. Like, here's my input. Maybe you add this guy. I don't know, because it's your tournament. It's your tournament.
And we talked about it last week. I don't know if you heard about it with Rob, but maybe have the teams that want to get in have to come out a day or two early, play around robin against each other, and then the winner stays and plays, and the other guys go home.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, dude, these guys, it's like it's either they come in and they pick up the momentum, or they give it all out on the first game or second game, and they're gassed. And now I don't want to say easy pickings, but it's going to be an easier game than who knows. I think it's cool. It brings more hockey to the guys, and there's another level of it, and it's changing it up, and it's giving people a chance. These young teams that want to come in and prove something, you have a showcase before the actual showdown, So that's great.
Two of the rule changes we are making this year. One of them involved with you guys last year was, so our one game sniper rink rat was when, you guys held on to the puck on that delayed call for a while. So now we've made a rule where if a team gets a delayed power play, they have 30 seconds to get over the red line with the puck. And once they get over the red line, they're not allowed to go back with it, obviously. So that at least will eliminate that. And then we added one also because of our situation in the finals of Black Ice on a controversial goal that wasn't allowed. So now all playoff games in the Palm Pro Invitational are going to have goalie review on every goal scored because we have that extra camera now at the goals.
Yeah.
So we have no issues with any goals during the playoffs. So just ways to try to grow the game. And obviously you don't know what you have to change until you come across a situation. And we had 2 last year, but now we're looking to improve on those situations now.
Yeah, I like that rule. I mean, I did that. I mean, obviously we go back to that game where we played against you guys, and I held the puck. I know my brother had like really nothing to do with it. He just kind of followed my lead. But it was 2 things. It was, having you guys doing that in the past and against us when I was on the Palma team, and how frustrating it was. But
You yelled at me during that game. I learned this from you. I was like, all right.
Yeah. So just stuff like that, man. I mean, but that's just our culture. That's our game. Like we grew up doing that, and that's how we win. People win games. So it's not like, it is what it is. But I seriously hated that. Maybe because I was a little bit overweight. I didn't feel like chasing you guys like on the delay penalty. But I always thought watching that was just like, man, I kind of hate that. I really do hate that. But and I'm glad you guys adjusted. And this is like anything, right? You guys are evolving and changing up the rules and making sure that none of that doesn't happen again. Because that was a statement of like, yeah, let's not do this. Let's change that right
My
away.
favorite part of that, Etan, I don't know if you remember it, but I don't know if it was you or your brother. I think it was your brother. He had the puck and he went to go over it and then pull back, and the whole crowd went like, ah. Like,
And you know where he got that from? You ever played Tekken Bowl back in the day?
yeah.
When you'd have Bo Jackson, the fastest guy on the field, and then he'd run across the line just because like he was that much faster than everybody. Yeah, that's
funny. That's awesome. All right, so besides playing for Rink Rat, now obviously you're gonna be playing with Palma this summer, which we're real excited about. Obviously, strengthening that team big time. We talked about it with Rob, and the Palma Cyclones or now Palma Golden Knights. They've never won the Palma Invitational, so and they've never been to a final in that division. So I know Rob's real excited about having you join them this year. So even though you've won that division, now it's full circle. You're back home with your original team. I'm sure it's got to feel pretty exciting to want to win that division with those guys because they haven't won it yet.
Oh man, you have no idea. Like the whole switching to being telling Rink Rat and letting the guys know on that side, and then telling my brother, and then telling Rink Rat about the switch was like as much as it hurt, I knew I had to make a switch because I'm so into it right now. As much as I was into it with Rink Rat, just we gave chances. We put team practices together, and nobody would show up. We'd get like four people, 3 people. It was a cool thing. Yeah, we'll be there. Last minute, can't be there. So knowing that Junior was on the team, Travis, John, those guys, I was playing beach hockey with them every Saturday and seeing how, just little things like that. They were playing every Saturday and I was playing with them. And then Junior hit me up and he said, I went to his birthday and he's like, hey man, he's like, what do you think about you and your bro coming to Palma? And I'm like, Walk will never go if Rob's still the coach. I'm like, it's gonna be a hard one. I'm like, I don't know. I would love to. I'm like, hey, Walk. I talked to Walk about it, and Walk's like, no, there's no way I'm gonna do it. So now jumping in, being part of the team now that it's easier, and now focusing just on the main thing is like, man, I can't wait, man. Like this is gonna be some good hockey. Like you guys talk about the 4 teams in our sport. It's going to be a lot tighter now. And if people are prepared and ready to play in these tournaments, I know that our Palma team is doing, we're going to be ready for anything, so I'm excited. It's a good group of guys. I'm a little older in the sport. I still feel young. I mean, Walk's still doing it. CJ Yoder's still doing it. So I know and Greg's still doing it. I mean, a lot of more guys, and JP Bilstein, all these guys. Actually, JP Bilstein, out of all people, man, lost a lot of weight and is actually playing better than I've ever seen. So it just shows that our sport is an old timer sport. Like I really think we should be catering to the people that retire professional hockey and come play roller hockey and strengthen our sport from like that, because there is longevity in our sport to play. So I look at playing at 50 years old, man. I'm gonna pass Yager if I can,
Now I know why he wants the small rinks, Greg.
Yeah.
It's
For
funny.
sure.
I know Oleski mentioned a lot of his old buddies, ice hockey buddies, ex-professionals, are trying to get a squad together to start playing, roller hockey on a normal basis. So that's pretty cool. So hopefully, after a couple tournaments, maybe they'll step it up and play in the pro division. So.
I thought an idea here, like, I mean, the way we're going through right now, everything's shut down. With the NHL and stuff, I hope that happens, that 24-man team. I think that's just like a roller hockey format. Like anybody can win. It's just like a twice the size of Palma Pro Invitational, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think you should open something up. I mean, by you guys knowing enough people in the industry, why don't you guys put a pro team? It's hard to say because all the people have the contracts and all. You should put an NHL pro team on one team. So now the boys have a camaraderie. They have something in common. They all play in the show, but they're playing in a roller hockey tournament against all these other roller hockey guys. I mean, that could be an idea there where
That'd be great.
little by little, you know what I mean?
Be great to beat
Sounds
up on
good.
them too.
You know, it sounds good. It's just one of those deals where, like,
For
I mean,
sure. For
you
sure.
saw last year, right? A bunch of those guys played for Revision at Narch, right? And
Yeah.
they got
Out west, yeah.
smoked. So that's another thing. I'm sure, you know, they don't want to get embarrassed and lose to a bunch of roller
That's
hockey players, and
There you
Yeah,
go.
true.
you know, they're on their wheels as much as the roller guys. So, you know,
Yeah, it's, you know, for me, it's fantasy land for that. I was like, that'd be amazing. Be playing against all these NHL players and
course.
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
so
So let's talk international, Etan. So besides playing in these pro divisions here, you know, you've had the greatness of being able to play many times for Team USA, wear the red, white, and blue. Starting here in 2006, you know, you had that bandana look going back then.
yeah, there you go.
You know, so you know, 2006 back home, Taylor, Michigan, you guys won the gold medal. Then you played in 2007 in Spain. I don't think you guys medaled that year. Then you played a couple years IIHF as well, 2009, 2011, took a silver medal both those years there. And then 2012, Colombia gold medal. And 2013, I know you got to play at the World Games in Colombia to win a gold medal. So that had to feel pretty special. I know I've never been to World Games yet, hoping to be there for the next one. But everyone, I know Greg played in two of them. Everyone talks about what a special experience playing at the World Games was.
The whole special thing about it is Team USA and suiting with the boys that you always play against all year round. Like that, and that's what it comes down to. Is it's actually getting to know the community and the industry. And if you look at those teams, like they're not top players, not all the best players from each team. Like you got some players that are just, you know, they just put in the work. They know what they're good at and they fit the puzzle right. So yeah, besides like the traveling thing, you know, it's great traveling with the boys, being at a new country. Some of the guys haven't been to Colombia, or that part of the town, the culture. I mean, everything comes with it. The food. Actually, that trip right there in Colombia was the one that got me started with black coffee. You know, I had my first black cup of coffee. I didn't even like coffee. I still don't like coffee. I'm just joking. But at that time, you know, I didn't eat coffee. So being in Colombia on a rooftop for breakfast, overlooking the city, sure, I'll have my Juan Valdez. And I took a couple sip, and it's history after that. But it's a little culture things that I like about the whole, you know, Team USA thing. And then the other side of it is meeting other roller hockey players around the world is the coolest thing. And I've taken advantage of that for sure. I've told many people I've been to 33 countries with my hockey stick and my rollerblades, traveling and just meeting new people and playing on asphalt and basketball courts and in little schools and teaching hockey and just meeting the roller hockey community around the world. So that's what I love about it. That's my favorite thing about Team USA is obviously winning that gold medal and meeting new people in the sport.
It's funny you bring up the coffee because, you know, and I think I told you this one time, you know, one of my claims to fame in my life, I always like to say is I've never had a sip of coffee in my life.
That's awesome.
And at this point, it's just one of those things that you get a wow factor from that, especially my wife drinks 2 cups a day. But I realized the other night, Greg, that that's not 100% true because, you know, Etan, Greg and I, we talk on this podcast about a show we've been watching called Fauda. On
what is it? I gotta write this down.
How
do you say that? I can't hear it from your New York accent.
Fauda. Fauda. Fauda.
All right.
It actually means riots, I think, which is crazy. Everything going on today. But,
right.
So it takes place in Israel, the show. And what I noticed on the show is how big coffee is a part of the culture of Israelis. You know, they always drink that little cup of black coffee, like the little ones, and they're constantly drinking every episode. And then I was reminded of an old friend of mine, Benny Benyamini, Greg, who was Israeli, who I was over his house one time many, many years ago, and he gave me a little thing of coffee, and I took a sip, and I was like, oh, shit, spit that out. But that was the one sip I've had in my life was that, and I was reminded of by that show. And speaking of Colombia, like the Israelis, coffee is a huge part of their culture.
Oh yeah, no, it's and that's another thing about the coffee industry that I love. It's the community is so huge. You have all types of walks of life, right? You have lawyers to bums to blacks to whites to Asians, anything, right? It's the community. So when I was working at a coffee shop, all types of walks are walking in, and the camaraderie of having something in common with people was that's my favorite thing about the whole coffee industry. It, there's so many people in it that
Hey, why don't
drink
you
it.
get into why don't you get into Travel Wall Coffee a little bit and just kind of explain what you do with it and all that good stuff? Because there you go.
There you go.
Because I mean, it's your company, correct?
Yeah, the ladies and I. So
Okay.
the thing how it started was Travel Well Coffee was well, actually the Travel Well name, how it came. I was traveling through Hong Kong to New Zealand, and during my layover, I saw this hat that said Travel Well, and I always thought in the back of my mind, I'm like, I thought that that's the coolest slogan ever because I was traveling that time, so I thought it was just like the coolest, and it just so I always kept that in the back of my mind. And so the lady and I, we started up this thing where our dates and our one-on-one time would go to different coffee shops, and so then we just added at the end of the thing we'd put like a Travel Well hashtag, and then when we're thinking about names, the lady's like, let's do Travel Well. I like that name. And then right now it's perfect, right? Because I'm doing delivery service. My whole our whole purpose for the whole travel or the coffee thing is my lady's into lashes. She's a esthetician, so she does lashes extensions and spray tanning, superficial in California. But yeah, so she wants to do that, and right now she's in a storefront, but she's not working right now. She'll probably be the last people that can open it up fully because she's so close to the face and all that. So our goal for Travel Well and her business is putting it together, having a beauty in the back and a coffee front. So, and it's only going to make sense because California is so expensive. So I think that's probably the cheapest way we can make it work. But during this whole pandemic, man, I mean, my work is I was starting to coach ice hockey. I work in production where I do like food service for like TV commercials and all that. So I'm always buying the coffee off myself because they give me a budget. So I buy the coffee off myself and serve it to them, which is kind of hand in hand, and it's kind of nice. And then I work at the coffee shop as well, which I was managing at the time. And yeah, all of that just went out the window. So I was like, man, I got to figure out something. And I was like, I think it's time for us to bottle up these cold brew. I'm a big fan of nitro cold brew, and that's what I'm drinking right now. It almost looks like a beer. It almost looks like a Guinness beer when you put the nitrogen in it.
Yeah.
And it makes it smoother. It's acidic when you brew it for the 24 or 32 hours. And then when you put the nitrogen in it, it just smooths it out and makes it delicious. So my focus in life is when people, not focus, like my goal in life, when people come over and they haven't drank coffee, I'm like, here, try my nitro coffee. It's a little bit smoother than that brown mud you drink at your parents' house or whatever, So, but yeah, that's the whole thing where we started with the bottles. Is we just literally found a bottle company and just started bottling them up, and it was just from like word of mouth of friends. Cause I was doing pop-ups out here in California, and so I had a few people that knew I was making coffee, and it was a little easy thing like, hey, Venmo me and I'll bring you over some coffee. And then it turned into 2 months later, I just hit past my 1,000 bottles sold. And
Wow.
it's crazy, man. And so right now I have a nice little foundation of customers that are reoccurring, ladies that are ordering 3 to 4 bottles a week. And so now it's like evolving. It's a marketing. Now it's like, what am I going to do next? Am I going to do a subscription thing? Am I going to continue doing this? Am I going to come out with a new drink? So it's really fun right now. Like, during this time, it's keeping us busy. And I'm really getting really into it. Like, so when you make cold brew, I make 5 pounds at a time, and it takes about 24 to 32 hours of steep in a bucket, and you got to wait, and then you got to strain it out, and you got to do a few strands like to clean it a bit. But I just found this new system that makes cold brew in 2 hours. So it's a game changer. It's like, it's wild how the coffee industry and the people that are behind it are coming out with these machines that you can make cold brew in 2 hours and be just as strong as it was if you're steeping it for 24 hours. So I'm excited about it. This whole coffee movement and journey for myself and the lady, we're having fun with it. It's fun. We're able to travel around. We're driving around the car and going to all types of places in California. So we're having a good time with it, but now it just comes with, the marketing and keeping it going and keeping it fresh. Because at first it was just hey buddies, you want a coffee? I'll bring a cup of coffee to you today. And now it's coming into out of the circle where I don't even know these people that are ordering now. You know what I mean? So now it's becoming this thing where I'm like, all right, now my stuff has to be quality and customer service has to be top notch.
Right.
So
hey, if you could work with your girl and live with her and do everything else, and you don't want to kill each other yet, then you're doing something right.
yeah, no, for sure, man. Like in the whole pandemic thing, it was definitely the test for that for sure. And you know, it's awesome, man. It's life, right? I mean, everything's not gonna be perfect, and that's what I'm still trying to learn every single day. It's, you know, everything's not just gonna be perfect, and our relationships is gonna be perfect, and we're never getting in an argument because I just hate confrontation. Like so, but yeah, you know, she's a great girl. I think I've gotten a good winner. You guys all met her. She's a very sweet. She's a sweetheart.
100%.
And so yeah, we're having a good time, and we're trying to make it work during this crazy times right now. And yeah, you know, that's all we can do right now.
Ethan, quick before we get into the next topic, but like talk about your sobriety for a little while. Like I know you've been sober for a couple of years now, but you know what really made you change? I mean,
It came to a little bit of everything. It was just kind of getting over it. It was coming. The main thing was a girl. Make it or break it, right? You want to be with me. You know, you need to calm down on this drinking, you know. And she'd always give me chances after chances, like, all right, have a few, and then and that was it. But yeah, it just became where a little bit of everything. So Candace, making the coffee, realizing that caffeine's a thing, and you know, you can't drink too much caffeine or you start shaking and getting all weird and stuff. But then I started making it into a nitro where it looks like a beer. So it almost makes it like I'm almost replacing one for another in a way. And when I'm drinking this coffee, it's almost like I'm having like a refreshing beer in a way. But
how much better do you feel mentally and physically without the drinking?
oh man, like I'll tell you the truth, and I've been telling a few people is I wish I would never started. You know, at this point, I feel like I missed a lot of opportunities, and I missed some things where drinking got in the way. And I give kudos to everybody that can have a beer or so and have a good time and stuff. But yeah, I'm not down for that anymore, you know? So I'm just happy not to have that in my life. Just because, you know, waking up in the morning, feeling refreshed, you know, just accomplishing different goals and tasks it's so much easier. But again, you know, I can go out like the picture you guys showed of Junior and Elisa, like I'll go out and I'll hang out with the guys from time to time and go to a bar just to hang out with the boys, right? And I'm drinking my soda water, or I'll have my coffee, and I'm good, and I can have a good time. I just know my personality now, that I can just go out there and be myself, and I don't need a drink to get me going, you know, and get me over that hump to not feel judged, or, you know, not to feel like uncomfortable in ways, because yeah, it's weird, man. It's crazy, but yeah, man, appreciate that.
And I'm sure it's helped your hockey game out, you know, tremendously. I mean, not with obvious. I mean, we've seen you playing. I mean, obviously, it's helped you out big time.
Yeah, because the whole culture thing.
Right?
What's that?
Your weight gaining too. I mean, I'm sure that was a big part of it.
Have you ever tried to tie your shoe at weighing 230? Or you know what I mean?
Fortunately not. But
please don't get there. But yeah, no, like, yeah, just the drinking part of it, just yeah, you know, just being bloated. That stuff was, you know, was a problem. But you know, it's been cool now that, you know, I have some hockey players that hit me up and they go, hey man, like I'm going through these drinking problems and I'm having some problems in my life and stuff, like, well, can you give me some advice? So it's pretty cool to kind of be on the other side of it now and being able to share my journey with it, because it is a problem, you know. At the end of the day, if we don't want to look at it in the face, you know, drinking is a poison, and so.
And you gotta know your limitations, right? Like it affects everyone differently, where maybe I could have 2-3 beers and I'm fine, I'm normal, maybe I laugh more, whatever. You may have had 2 or 3 made you more physical, right? Or more aggressive.
Exactly.
You know, everything affects everyone. And I think, you know, I applaud you for knowing, you know, what you can't do, you know, to live the life you want to live, and you were able to adjust that, which a lot of people can't be honest with themselves that way. So I applaud you for being able to make that change for the better for yourself and for your girlfriend and for your family and your teammates and everyone you're involved with, right?
No, for sure. And like another thing about our sport was like it was turning into and I was a big part of it. It was drinking in the parking lots, going and drinking hard in the parking lots and drinking before games and thinking like, you know what, I can play hockey, with a few beers in me. Like actually I need a few beers in me to play some hockey. And some games you'll have a few goals and you'll have a good game, and the next game you're dog shit. Right. And so it's like a little bit hand in hand. Yeah. So
I mean, I remember playing you guys down in Florida one year, and I think it was a semifinal game.
Yeah,
I remember that. Play you guys, and I mean, listen, our team likes to enjoy ourselves as much as another team. But we look up and you guys are up drinking beers, and we're like, all right, well, we'll see how this goes, and we actually beat you pretty good. But we're thinking ourselves like, why even come? Like why even?
Why you got to drink in between games? Like our guys would drink after the games, never like during the games.
Right, but that's the mentality that we're having. It's like beer it takes over yourself. And I was like, oh, I need a beer. I need a beer now because like I feel uneasy. You know what I mean? So I'm just happy, clear mind. I'm just happy that I'm not in that state of mind anymore. And people can do it. Hey man, that's awesome. But right now I got other plans and goals to do, and I'm happy that it's out of my life right now for sure. So I appreciate you guys bringing that up though, because it's
kudos to you, man.
Yeah, 100%. Proud of you. So let's talk a little before we let you go. There's a little speed round here, some questions that we ask a lot of our people. So what's your favorite food?
Oh, anybody knows me, it's chicken wings, man. I gotta have a good habanero hot sauce on the chicken wings, so I can eat those probably 8 days a week. Yeah. Are
you a ranch guy or a blue cheese guy?
I just started liking blue cheese, but if it was a gun to my head, I'd be ranch all day.
Okay. So. What's your favorite kind of music?
I'm a more classical jazz type. So I mean, I don't like a lot of noise sometimes. I just like to let the instrumentals hit the flow. And then I like to hit a freestyle from time to time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now I know this is gonna be a funny question, but I hear it two ways all the time. Is the correct way to say your name Itan or Ethan?
Ethan. So I know I know how it's pronounced or how it's spelled. It's like Itan. So you guys are all saying it wrong. You're not Etan. You shouldn't even say Etan. It's like Itan. Mm-hmm. But no. But
well, your wife's got the spray tan stuff going. That would make sense. So,
dude, oh man, when we looked that up too, and Itan is the biggest tanning salon in the almost in California. I don't know if it's in other states, but it's huge out here.
Okay.
So that was pretty funny. We thought about that. Itan and coffee.
So young blood or Miracle?
Actually, I'll tell you the truth. I've never seen Youngblood, the full movie.
Okay.
I've seen like bits and pieces of it. So,
say Miracle then.
And yeah, say Miracle. So
now, out of all the countries you've traveled to with USA or the 33 countries you've traveled to with your business and playing and teaching and whatnot, if you could pick one country to say that's where I want to go, what country is that for you?
Hong Kong. I love Hong Kong, man. I love just the culture there. And just it's amazing there. And the rink that we played at the YMCA, was able to do a camp there, do a tournament, but just like the transportation was so easy. You know what I mean? We took our bags on the train and we went straight, and they got us there like in 10 minutes. The parks you go to there, it's almost like going to the zoo. How like exotic birds are there and stuff. It's beautiful, different types of flowers. And then of course hiking up there as well, but yeah, just the culture itself. I thought it was funny. Have you ever been stuck in traffic with people? Maybe because you guys are from New York.
Yeah.
This is probably times 10. You literally have to stop at a red light and let the other people walk past, and then the lights hit up, and then it's your turn to go. But yeah, Hong Kong for sure for the city life. And then I would say Brazil for sure for beach life. So,
right.
Before we get into the next question, you were fortunate to play overseas in a couple leagues. So you played over in Spain, obviously, in Valladolid and Mallorca, correct?
Yeah. Mallorca, where Chucky Slick's at right now, living the dream. You guys been following that guy?
No.
You guys gotta give that guy a follow, man. He's a great guy. So he's living the dream over there on the island.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because I'm watching Below Deck on Bravo, and they're actually in Mallorca right now. So
Okay.
obviously I've been to Mallorca a couple times when I was playing over in Spain, but yeah, beautiful island. Where else did you play over there? Did you play in any other leagues? You played in France, correct?
So this is like how it all went. I looked up to you and CJ Yoder because you guys went to Italy when you guys went down there and you guys hit the European Cup, and I was like, man, I got to go up to Europe, man. These guys are doing it. Like this would be amazing.
Yeah.
So first I saw you guys, and then at that 2007, where talk about a group of guys, man, Mudcats versus Palma, man, that was like the worst trip of Team USA history.
Yeah, we could probably have a whole episode on that trip, but yeah.
I know, I'll cut it short because I know it's 11:15. But yeah, so I went to first place I went to was Ratel in France, and then I went to Mallorca, and then I went to Valladolid in Spain, CPLV, and then I played a little ball hockey in Germany for a little bit.
Oh wow!
With skates on, it was actually pretty fun. And then that was pretty much it. That was it. Did a quick little circuit there, but I was able to win a European Cup with junior. We swept, that year was amazing. We swept all 3 tournaments you can win. You can win the leagues, the league, the King's Cup, and then European Cup, and we had all 3 in that year. And that I would say that was another big championship year I had because it was just fun being part of something special like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, in the Palma Pro Division, Itan, I'm going to say for now on, say it properly.
Attaboy.
Or Itan. So in the Palma Pro Division, not counting any of your teammates on your new team, your new old team, I should say. But if there's one player in the division you watch out and you marvel at and go, wow, this guy's a player, who would that player be for you other than a teammate you play with in the game right now?
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this question because I hear this one all the time in all your guys' podcasts, and I'm like, who would it be? And I really thought and sat down. And it's so funny you have him coming on next is Johnny Mack, man. Like growing up with that guy was the most clutch player. Always winning. I would always not compare myself to him, but like always like, man, this guy's winning a lot of championships. Like I need to catch up. Like this guy was what? Didn't he win like 3 championships back to back or with the Mudcats or
game for a little while?
Game-winning goals. Like this guy was just an animal, and maybe not take over games, but in the right place at the right time. And when you put it on a stick, it's like, oh shit, no, and then game's over. So awesome. Yeah, I love Johnny Mack, man. Him and his dad, just great group of people, man. I wish he was healthy, and he was on. If you saw the Puck Fit Indians, he was on our team at the time. So
get into that with him.
Big fan of that for sure. Big fan of him and his family. So it just sucks that he's not playing still, but it's crazy how he came back to Black Ice and he won it that one year. Like just like Johnny Mack and his magic touch, man. Seriously.
Who's the best locker room guy you've ever played with?
Craziest I was thinking about that.
It doesn't have to be crazy, but the best locker room guy, the guy that gets the team going and just kind of is that guy, like, you know what, he makes a difference in a weird way just by being in the locker room with the boys.
About like a Mike Nijar.
It was like, yeah, I was probably say like Amin. Amin was always like a leader. Like, so like you gotta like, it was always Amin or Michael Nijar that are always like, Michael was more like the funny side, cracking the jokes and making the tension like a lot easier. And then Amin was like the serious, like, remember keeping us accountable. Like, you know what we're here to do. Like, we're here to win some games and stuff. So he'd always like have a good speech. But I would say, and if I had a big, it's my team. Like it would have to be probably my brother. Like my brother's has stepped up to the plate so much as well that when he's in the locker room, he's getting the boys going. He's very vocal. So those 3, and I can see all 3 of them in walk as well, or all 2 of them in walk. So awesome. That little group of guys. So
that's great stuff.
So
all right, well, Etan, it's been great having you on here. I know we got Johnny Mack waiting in the waiting room here, so we don't want to keep it waiting too much longer. But it's been great having you, and I said before you came on, it's amazing. It must be the coffee, because between the Cali street hockey stuff you guys have going on, and we covered a lot of that with John Seamer, so I don't want to get too much in with you. We talked about the coffee more. But between your business with the coffee, the Cali street hockey stuff you're doing, I feel like you're all over the place. I don't know how you do it. I wish I had your energy. You might have to start drinking coffee.
A little bit. And stay tuned because Cali Street Hockey just picked up a new sponsor, St. Archer Beer. They're going to help fund us on our trips. So once this whole thing gets over, we're going to new places and they want us to document it and add the beer into it. So maybe St. Archer might be the new roller hockey sponsor at one of your tournaments one day. So.
All right. I won't tell them you don't drink, so don't worry about that. So.
Exactly. I'll put
All
my
right.
coffee in there. All right, brother.
All right, buddy. Great seeing you.
All right, boys. Thanks for having me.
Stay safe. We'll see you soon, okay?
All right, boys. See ya.
All right. Later, buddy.
Sure.
All right, that was Itan Chavira. So we finally got to the bottom of that. You know, early in this podcast, we want to know if it was Piha or Piha. We got into the bottom of that with CJ Euler himself. It's Piha. And now the question of how you pronounce this young man's name, is it Ethan or Itan or Itan? We learned it's Ethan. So now we can say that right from now on, not embarrass ourselves. I've been calling him the wrong name probably for 20 years talking to him. But next up is someone whose name I do know how to say. And, you know, many people know him as Johnny Mack, and a lot of people probably think that's really his name, that it's not John McInnes. So we're going to get him on and bust his chops for a little bit here. So let's get him on. I know he's been waiting patiently, Greg, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Chavira, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
We're back here, State Wars Hockey Podcast, with none other than John McInnes, affectionately known as Johnny Mack in the roller hockey world. Can you hear us, Johnny?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Having a little difficulty with my computer, so I'm on the phone, but better than nothing.
Are you on your dad's Commodore 64 trying to get on this thing? What are you doing over there?
He doesn't know how to work a computer, so he's.
I heard at your dad's house he's got to ride a stationary bike to keep the electricity going, so it's got to be tiring for him when this thing's done.
Yeah, it's been dark in here after his surgery the last couple of weeks. So he can't get on the bike. But
how's he doing? I saw him limping around behind you there. Is he doing okay?
Yeah, he's all right.
All right.
He's making fun of the tenant upstairs, the Turkish guy, calling him a terrorist. So you know,
oh, great.
He's good.
So as long as when he's getting his humor back, we know he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right.
So how you been doing, Johnny? What have you been up to? I haven't seen you in a long time. What have you been up to?
Yeah, you know, just I've been working a few different gyms, training athletes, training just general population clients, trying to get people on the right path. And, you know, it's been tough lately with the whole COVID situation, but hopefully in the next couple weeks or a month, we can get back to normal and get things going again. But yeah, I've been pretty busy running back and forth from gym to gym, but back home on the island now, so I wouldn't really have it any other way.
Yeah, so you're not in Connecticut anymore. You're back home.
Yeah, I've been back home. I guess this June will have been 2 years already.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So why don't you get into that a little bit and just let everyone know what you're doing in Connecticut and training there and stuff like that.
Well, for the first, I was there for, 7 years, I believe. I was actually the assistant strength and conditioning coach at Quinnipiac University. And at the same time, I was the head strength and conditioning coach at an all-boys private high school called the Brunswick School in Greenwich, Connecticut. Very good athletic school. We had a couple hockey guys sent to Quinnipiac actually over the years. But yeah, while I was at Quinnipiac, I was fortunate enough to assist with the hockey team. Ended up going to the national championship twice. You know, many of you guys know Lauren Barron, Alex Barron. They were on the team one year. KJ Tiffenworth was on the team. It was really cool. One of the guys, Sam Annis, actually played with Pat Cannoni for a bit in the AHL.
Is there a guy Federico on that team?
Yes, Dan Federico. Yes.
Yeah, I'm friendly with his uncle. I coached with his uncle a little bit here. He lives in my hometown.
Yeah, he was a great dude. He's from, he played in, I think he played with the Hitmen. He might have played with the Petito. I think he played with Jesse Petito, maybe.
Okay. His uncle told me he was a pretty good player. And then I asked KJ about him. Said, yeah, he was.
Yeah, very smart, you know, not flashy or anything, but he's just like very smooth and steady. He never really made mistakes.
I think he went and played in the A with Bukowski. He played out with him out in Texas or whatever when they won a championship, or in the East Coast League, wherever he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he still might be playing. I'm not sure. I haven't checked in a while.
That's awesome.
Good old hockey DB. We'll have to check in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive right in, Johnny, to we're gonna turn back the clock a little bit today. And obviously, before we get started on State Wars, I'm just gonna say, I've had the privilege of knowing Johnny since he was a little kid, as is Greg, getting started. And when I was coaching a lot on Long Island, way back in the early days, when I had a lot less gray hair, I remember meeting Johnny, playing. He was probably 8 and under or whatnot, playing at the rinks when there was a ton of tournaments going on out here. And immediately you knew when he was young that, you had a pretty special talent. He stuck out immediately. I don't know if it was the crazy dad yelling on the sidelines or it was the play of Johnny, but I immediately recognized Johnny right away as a sniper, funny to say, but he just could score from anywhere, had that pinpoint accuracy. And, there was so much talent on Long Island back in those days, but Johnny stood out big time. He was at every tournament on multiple teams, playing up divisions, always winning high scorer, winning almost every game, every tournament. I know, Greg, you got to coach him a little bit with the Roller Dragons. And, right from the get-go, just honestly, just a dominant player. So, John, for you, what got you started in roller hockey and, what got you hooked on it? Like, what did you know right away this was going to be my thing?
Well, actually, I was really big into baseball my whole life. Many people probably don't even know that. But I was playing baseball when I was 7 years old, and this one kid, my dad was the coach, and this one kid would always come late. He's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you always late? And he's like, oh, I'm playing this game called roller hockey. He's playing in Blue Point. He ended up playing at Face Off. So he's like, why don't you come check a game out? And this is when Face Off was nice. Like the nets were brand new, the rink was all blue, and I went and checked it out, and I just I don't know, I just fell in love with it immediately. I don't know what it was. I just something still to this day about the thought of scoring a goal. It's like finishing a puzzle, it's like finding that hole, trying to put one past the goalie, and just to this day, it's still it still excites me to think about. But so we just checked it out. We actually didn't start playing at Bayport. We started playing at Jay Meacham's rink in Medford. It's no longer there. It's like an RV park now or something like that. But we played with, my dad started a team. We had a 20-man roster. I think it was all my buddies from baseball because, this guy was missing because of this and this guy was missing because of that. We were called Val's Deli. We had a hero sandwich on our jersey because we were sponsored by them. And many guys played for a while that played on that team. Probably the most well-known, I'm sure most people listening to this know Danny Healy, bar down. Played with the Roadrunners a bit, but him and I, we played hockey every day, all day from sun up to sundown, whether it was at my house, his house, at the middle school. His dad would play goalie with no pads on and a baseball glove. And just we would stick my cousin in net because he was fat and he took up the net, and we would just shoot all day. And that's literally all we did.
That's awesome. Yeah. Right away, you guys, that 89 group, I remember, I think it was 1999. A funny story for me is, Johnny came and played with the Snipers for a tournament. We went to Norwich in Atlanta, and I was lucky enough to get Johnny to come play, whether he was playing, I don't know if you were playing with the Bulldogs then or Nightmare, who you had played with, but for whatever reason, your team wasn't going. And we had our team of guys going, and Johnny had jumped on with us, Greg. And our team wasn't very, we were an average team. And I know it had to be probably frustrating for Johnny. He was a step above what we had. And, and that's when I got to know his dad well, and we became friends. But I still remember, Johnny, this is one thing, is my funny story with you that I remember, is I remember you always had that Johnny Mack's sports water bottle. And Johnny Mack's don't know, was a hockey store, a sports store in Missouri. And you had that bottle. And was it blue in there always? That was a blue Powerade or whatever you always had in there, right?
9 times out of 10, it was blue Gatorade.
Yeah, blue Gatorade. And I remember it was on the bench, and we were on the far left rink in Atlanta at the cooler. And something had happened, and you came to the bench. You were pissed about something, right? Because our team sucked or whatever. And I remember just taking that thing and I just threw it across the bench. I was just so mad looking at this Johnny Mack bottle in my face. And I was so fired up, and I was used to winning a lot with the snipers back then, and our team sucked. And you were frustrated. I was frustrated. And for whatever reason, when I was thinking about this interview today, that's the first thing that came to mind, is that Johnny Mack bottle.
That's hilarious. I do remember that. Yeah, we got beat up pretty good that weekend. Definitely always remember that. That was one of 2 times at Norwich. I think I went 0-4, and that was one of them. That was pretty tough.
Oh yeah, me
But
too.
you were also a first year that year, right? I mean, the year before, I think you guys were under the New York City Nightmare and came in second.
No, we were the Kuzak Bulldogs still that year before that.
Okay.
And then
Nightmare.
that we were in Adams. We lost to the Swarm. We lost in the finals. Then I played with Timmy and the Snipers. And then we got smoked. And then the year after in Canada, we played with the Nightmare. And then we got second again.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you guys playing there. But then in 2005 was our first year of State Wars. New York always had a lot of good 89s. And, the struggle with State Wars always had been, you get guys, you have personality, especially in New York, where you have some guys are on one team, other guys are on another team, and guys don't really get along and whatnot. There's always that combative situation. So State Wars was a unique situation, but the 89s were always really strong. So Johnny, that year you guys came out and you guys went 4-0. And I was looking back. So your first ever game at State Wars that year, do you remember who you played that first game ever?
Oh, geez. No, I don't.
Okay. So you guys beat up on Colorado. And I was looking here. You scored the first goal of the game 28 seconds in. So first ever New York 89 goal. No shocker. Johnny Mack scored it, Greg. 30 seconds into the first game. They wound up winning that game 9-1. And Johnny had a hat trick that first game ever. You guys went on, Johnny. You went 4-0 in the round robin. And then the playoffs. First game, you defeated Nevada 5-4. Nick Raboni's team. They always had a pretty good Nevada team back then. And then you guys won that game in overtime. Game-winning goal was, and recall, it wasn't you, shockingly. Remember who scored that game-winning goal, the first playoff game for you guys?
Was it TJ Wells?
No, Yowie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Brian Yowie scored the OT winner from an assist from you. And then you guys beat New Jersey 4-1 in the semis. But then you wound up losing to California in the championship.
So we didn't just lose. We got destroyed.
Yeah, it was 9-4. Lauren Barron on that team. Mike Giola was a really good player back then. So that was the first experience. And then the next year comes out again, same thing. You guys go 4-0. You sweep through. Got some good shots you hear from that second year wearing your tour gloves.
Wow.
And you guys wound up losing in the semifinal. Actually, you played Ohio, and you won 2-0. Johnny Mack had both goals in that game in the semis. But then you wound up losing to Missouri 5-4 in overtime in the final.
Yes.
And I still remember that game. And I'm going to ask you a question. I know you're going to know the answer to this. I thought you guys were a shoo-in to blow them out. And do you remember why?
Well, PJ Tallow got hurt.
Right.
And we already played them in the round robin, and we beat them, I think, like 4-1.
Right.
And we handled them pretty well, and but being coached by one of my old coaches, Rob Ferrara, he obviously made adjustments, and we just couldn't. I remember they had 2 or 3 guys on me the whole game, and it was definitely frustrating. And we just couldn't find that extra push, to take the lead and hold on. So they just got the best of us in that game.
Yeah, and looking through some pictures here of 06, Johnny won high scorer that year, 19 points in 4 games. No biggie, Greg. Warrior high scorer. I believe Ally Frady was there that year handing out sticks to you guys. So you won a Warrior stick, made Team America both in 05 and in 06. There's a Team America group there, some great 89s there from over the years. But yeah, that Missouri team, it's funny. I didn't give them enough credit before because, like you said, you had beaten them during the round robin. And, as a tournament director, you just want good games. Like, people probably think you want New York to win or whatever. I'm from New York, but I always just wanted good games. And I remember seeing your team. And once Tallow got hurt, and being quite honest, I always thought PJ Tallow and Johnny Mack were the 2 best 89s in the country. That was my opinion. So I was looking forward to that matchup. And when PJ got hurt and you had beaten him during the round robin, I went into this like, oh God, you know, these guys are gonna just smoke these guys. And I don't know if your dad felt the same way or not, because I remember seeing you. I know how your dad is about after a loss. I remember seeing him after that game, and he would look like, you know, someone in the family just passed away. And you know, but Missouri, I have to give them credit. They had a really good team, like you said. Rob Farrar, a good coach, a good team there. And you know, you guys lost in overtime. Ray scored the winner in overtime, and Sean O'Rourke wound up being the MVP of that game. Had a great game for them, and has been a good player for a long time too back then.
Yeah, he was locked down on me that game. I don't think I could breathe that whole game. He was in my back pocket the whole time, but he did his job, and they ended up winning. So
David Ray was always a sneaky player. I mean, you know, you never really heard his name a lot because there were so many good players on that team, but David would always find a way to score some goals too. So he was definitely not a sleeper.
oh yeah, he is a funny kid, David Ray. Oh man, that kid's hilarious. It looks like Ronald McDonald.
Yeah. Now, Greg, I'm not sure about this because we don't have pictures. Johnny, all our 05 pictures are on these old little cassette tapes that Greg's working with Pernito actually out east. Hopefully going to try to convert these for us. So we have so many 05 pictures we haven't seen in 15 years that we're hoping to be able to get to eventually.
Wow.
But I don't have that California picture, but if memory serves me, Darren Goodwin might have coached that 89 team that year for California. So I remember him making like a side bet with me. Oh, we're going to beat New York. Do you want to bet California versus New York or whatnot? I have to ask him about that, but I think he might have coached that 89 team.
Yeah, I think he might have. Yeah. We had the confirmation. My dad just said "yup" from the other room.
He did. All right. So, you know, 05, 06 there, New York 89, silver medalist both times. So, John, do you remember back in those days? Obviously, you played in so many tournaments, but State Wars was different, you know, playing for your state, wearing a state uniform. It was a total different atmosphere. Do you remember those days at all, or is it too far for you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great concept, especially at the time. You know, I was playing with the Blast from St. Louis, so it was like, oh, like I'm going to play against these guys, you know, and kind of rejoin forces with the kids who I grew up playing with and against. So I thought I saw it as like a challenge, you know, playing with the kids in your own backyard. I mean, at the end of the day, that's probably how it should be. But, you know, the sport is everybody's trying to win. You can't blame people for trying to win. So, you know, I do remember it was fun. It was cool to get back out there with, you know, my buddies that I grew up playing with. Wish we could have won, you know, one last time playing with them, because that was the last time I ended up. Most of those kids, that was probably one of the last national that they played in.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it was cool. It was definitely a good experience.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, Greg, when Johnny started playing with St. Louis Blast, Rob Farrar, that group, PJ Tallow, you know, it's different than today. You know, today guys play with different teams and they basically say, all right, I'll see you next year. And they see him on the rink for the first championship. But Johnny's situation was different. I mean, he almost had like residence in Missouri. You know, he was out there, you know, playing for the Blast, traveling out there to practice with them. I think, you know, at one point, I think you and your dad might have been living in that little closet in Rob's office he had in the back there. You know, you guys were there so much. But, you know, you guys were out there a ton, and you truly were part of the team. You know, it's not like today where, you know, someone just picks up somebody and they don't even really, they introduce them in the locker room for the first time. So I give you guys credit because you guys really delved in and were really part of that team and that culture with those guys. And as I know and Greg knows, it's just a great group of people out there in St. Louis.
Yeah, I remember they used to always go out there, and you did skate the hills with the 89s, didn't you?
No, I was actually never got a chance to do that. I always missed it. I always wanted to do that, but it seemed, I mean, I was there most of the summer. I was, you know, we would go to tours, then I'll go home for like 2 days. Sometimes we just go right to St. Louis, stay there for whatever time was in between that and Narch and practice, and then go right to Narch, and then maybe come home after that. I mean, we were never home. I mean, our dog used to have like separation anxiety and used to like sulk for the whole summer because we were gone the whole time. But yeah, I mean, we were there every day. We would wake up, hang out. We stayed with Rob Ferrara for most of the time. Sean O'Rourke would stay there Tallow would stay there. We'd go to the rink at 11 o'clock at night. Pat Maroon would be there. We'd skate all hours of the night, and just play. And that it was so much fun, It'd be 110 in the rink. It was just nothing could stop us, Yeah, we'd wake up and do it all over again. It was a good time. Nothing to really worry about. Just play and have fun.
Those are the days.
Yeah.
I remember those road trips. I remember in 1997 when I was coaching, we went to Ayers in St. Louis, and I worked for Todd that year. So our junior team came in and our Pee Wee team, and we played. And then the junior team stuck around while I worked for the next 4 or 5 days, which God only knows what they were getting into when I was working. And that was Pete Penicky and Sean McGrath and Brian Richford and a lot of the longtime sniper guys. And then we got on we rented a van and we drove to Iowa right from St. Louis and played at USAC Nationals in Iowa for a week. And I still remember, shows you how time has changed. I still remember going out to a payphone in the parking lot in Iowa in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of quarters just to call my mom and tell her I was alive because I hadn't talked to her in like a week. And then we went from Iowa home, came home for like 5 days, and then flew to Vancouver for Narch and went to Narch. And I was there for like a week and a half coaching a bunch of teams. So I was gone like forever. And some of the guys like Derek Kern and Tommy Prate, talking to them now, they're always like, how the hell did our parents let us all do that? Like, I was the only adult with these guys. And I was, so in 1997, I was 24 and these guys were all 18 and I'm the only adult, if you would, and traveling all over the place like that. Like nowadays that probably wouldn't have happened. So pretty fun stuff and a lot of memories. And I was telling someone the other day, you don't remember much of the hockey games, but we definitely remember the stuff that went on in between the hockey games and all the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, those are always the best times. I mean, obviously, winning is nice, but you always remember the stuff off the rink. And I could probably write a book.
Yeah, if you think about all the nationals, right? I mean, time on the rink is only a small portion of the time you're actually there. It's all the other stuff you remember.
Right. I always see it now that I have kids of my own. I see my little one, they lose a big game in soccer and all the parents are mad all day and the kids forgot all about it. They're having ice cream and they could care less. But, it's a bunch of crazy parents, so they ruin their whole week, so it's always funny. But, a few years you didn't play at State Wars, and in 2010 in Darien, Illinois, I think it was that year, you played with the senior team. You had a pretty good sniper team there. You had 13 points in the round robin, led the team in scoring. Pretty impressive team. And I look at the team you guys had that year: Johnny Mack, Greg Thompson, John Mosenson, John Healy, Derek Kern, Sean Carney, Jim Tamburino, David Cole, Ryan Carey, Brendan Nelson, 2 mutts in net, Susko and Penicky, so pretty impressive team there. You guys, swept through the round robin, but then you played the Revision Wings, the other New York team, in the first round of the playoffs, and they had a pretty good squad as well. You guys lost 6-3 in the quarterfinal. Johnny Mack 2 goals, GT with the other one. You guys just came up short that year.
Yeah, I still remember that game. That was a tough one. That was like on the far rink.
Yep.
And that was a tough one, but I do remember a real good game against Missouri. I think we were down pretty late in the game and we ended up tying it. And then we ended up, Tim.
6-5 win over the meltdown you guys had.
Yeah. And that was a huge game for us because obviously they were one of the top seeded teams. So after that, we were pretty confident, and yeah, that was a tough loss to the Revision Buffalo Wings. I remember that game.
Now, how was that for you, Johnny? Like, you were so used to always being with the 89s, you're the guy, everyone looks up to you, whatever. Now you're playing with some guys you probably looked up to growing up, Greg Thompson, Ryan Carey, Derek Kern, different role bros. Was that pretty good for you to be able to play with those guys and learn from those guys?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I mean, but I know at that time I probably was coached by half the guys I was playing with, so it was really cool just to play with them and just kind of be the young guy in the team, and just not really worry about anything, just play and try to do what I can do out there. But I do remember that Missouri game, and it was I think they were called the Meltdown, right? And they definitely had a big meltdown. I remember when we started coming back.
I'm sure Kramer led that charge.
Yeah, I think like Kramer, there may have been like a bad call or something, and we got a power play, and we we scored like 2 power play goals. And I just remember, I think JP Bealston like picked up the net and like threw it 10 feet back to the boards or something like that. And
No way,
I think
I don't believe that.
I think Phil was on the team, Phil Maroon. I think he was yelling at somebody, and then Kramer was stuttering and yelling. And I don't know. To this day, I don't even know how we won that game. Like that was a crazy game.
I don't know if that was a game that I think JP might have scored a goal and it went through the net. And I think that's what really fired them up, because I think they just tightened up the nets that game.
I think you're right, actually. I think that's what happened.
Fired one through, and it just, the referee couldn't really see it because it went through the net.
Yeah.
From a distance, and I think that's what really got them going.
Yeah, I do remember that now. Actually, you bring that up. Yeah.
I can't imagine the Missouri guys yelling at the refs. I find that hard to believe. I remember Johnny coming down. If you remember this, Johnny, you came down and for, I don't know if it was a season or two, came down to Sport Time and played with our men's league team, many years ago. And he was still a pretty young buck and had to deal with crazy guys like me and Charlie Mott and all us out there. And his dad just come out with him every game. It was a little bit of a hike of a ride, but we always had some fun in those games. It was nice having a young buck. We could just say, all right, do your thing, kid. And we're here for support.
Yeah, that was great. I used to love those games, playing with you, Charlie. I think Hazeman might have been on the team once or twice, right? Just a couple other guys. Pete, we played out,
Yeah. We played in a tournament at Sport Time the one time, the men's tournament we all played. And,
yep.
It was the good old days,
That was those are great times. That was a nice rink too.
Yeah. It's always nice we could get on the Rolodex, call up Johnny Mack, say, all right, we need a young guy on our team. We're getting a little older now, Charlie. Who are we going to get? All right, we'll get Johnny Mack down here. He's good for 2 or 3 a game. So then, 2015, Johnny, we started the Palmer Pro Invitational at State Wars. So taking everything to a whole new level. We just had Etan, we just learned his name is pronounced, not Etan, it's Ethan. So we just had Ethan on Puckfit Indians. You played with them that year. You guys had a pretty good squad, but you guys learned pretty quick. It was not your normal pro division. Every game was real tough. You guys went 0-2-2 in the round robin, didn't make the playoffs. But did it feel pretty good to jump right out there? I know you played a lot of pro, obviously, with the Mudcats, had a lot of success, but took a little time off, and now you're here with these other guys. That feel pretty good to get out there in the pro division?
Yeah, I just I was looking for a team to play with, and then Ethan just asked me to play, and I was just thankful that they asked me. I love playing with those guys. It was cool to be out there. I mean, I did think we would end up doing a little better than we did, but it was a great experience just to get back out there again and play with those guys. And we had a great time regardless. They're great locker room guys, great guys off the rink. But just like being around everybody was great all weekend. I could still to this day, if I go to nationals just to watch, I could watch every pro game, and just have a good time catching up with everybody. And it's such a big part of my life, playing hockey and all the relationships that we formed. I do miss it a lot of times, but the old hips and the head, they took a toll. So I'm not sure if we'll be back out there again. Maybe a few years I'll have to start training for 35 and over. But
oh yeah,
yeah.
Greg, the most amazing thing of those pictures of Johnny with the Indians that he's wearing 61, not 66, which I know usually that was in the contract. You had to have 66.
Yeah.
Was that weird? Was that weird wearing a different number that year? That might have been the difference of not winning the division.
Yeah, I don't know. It is always a little weird when I'm not wearing my own 66, but like in Italy in 2009 when we played Team USA, I wore 44. It was just super weird seeing like the pictures. I'm like, why? What the hell is going on?
A very little known fact to many people that Johnny, growing up, his house number was
66, exit number 66.
So can you imagine his crazy dad drove around for weeks and weeks and weeks just to find a house that came for sale that was number 66. So, just so I always remember that. I think it's so funny. I actually remember the first year of State Wars because, when we supply the uniforms, it's always a big deal, like who wants certain numbers or whatever. And there's always guys fighting over numbers. And we wound up putting a rule in after year one, whoever wore it the year before gets it, or who signs up first for tryouts, we get it. So I remember that first year, Dad was right away like, he's getting 66. I'm like, yeah, he's 66, don't worry. And I think your dad even wanted to say Mack on the back. I was like, no, it's got to say McInnes. Like, we're not doing nicknames because then everyone wants it. It'll be like, bar down will be on the back of a jersey or, something else. So, But you're one of the few guys in roller hockey. When I think of a number, I think of a player, and 66 is obviously, I think, of Johnny Mack. I'm sure for you too, Greg.
Yep. There's a couple numbers out there, you see like a 4, I think of a Chavira, number 9, I think of CJ, and obviously not Travis Snow. But there's numbers out there where you're just like, yep, that's his number, that's him.
Or 14, right?
Dan Costanza.
Yeah, him
There's
too.
a lot of 14s. Pete Messina, 66. I don't know, it's a number. Maybe because it's that Mario Lemieux thing or whatnot. I know Johnny is a big Penguin fan and Lemieux fan, but maybe got a lot of guys just don't wear it. It's like almost like a 99. A lot of guys don't wear 66. Maybe, I don't know, because I don't remember thinking of that number too often. But I always think of Johnny Mack when I think of 66. So that's pretty awesome. And in 2016, Johnny, you jump back in pro. Playing with your boys from back home, good friend Jason Muro, coach of Black Ice, and Aaron Weiss. Played with those guys, obviously a really great team, and they wound up going on and winning the entire tournament that year. So that had to feel pretty special, not only winning the division, coming back, but playing with a lot of guys from back home.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thankful for those guys bringing me on board. I was actually the old man of the group on that team, which is pretty crazy because I went from playing with the Mudcats for a few years to being one of the younger guys to playing with Black Ice and being the oldest guy, by not by much, but by a few years. So it was really cool, playing with a lot of the guys. I even coached with Jay for a couple tournaments, a couple nationals, and coached some of those guys. So it was a different experience. It was almost like I was like a player coach too at times because those guys would listen to me, and that was really cool. They respected my input on things like that. But it was just cool playing with those guys. I mean, to this day, like I could watch them all play any day, all day. I mean, those guys are just ridiculous. You got your PJs and your Billy and your KJ and Chavo and all those guys. The Gergers. I mean, they're going to be a force for a while. I mean, I know they've been struggling the last couple of years, can't seem to get over the hump, but they're always around, and it just takes a couple bounces to get back in the game. And they could be on top anytime soon. Those guys, they've been playing together forever. I mean, you got Kraft in there too, right? I mean, Chinny and Net. I mean, it's just hopefully VCal comes back and plays. But that was
their hands down a top 3 team, top 3 or 4. We talked the other day with Rob Chernovan about, the Snipers and Black Ice and Palma and Alkali maybe being the foursome that's maybe a little bit separated right now than the group. But Black Ice, you can make an argument anytime, is, definitely one of the best teams in the sport.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but I still think they could any given week they can play right up there.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that. And they've won forever, right? You look at that 92 group, and juniors and D1, they've always won. It's not like a shock that they're winning now at this point. So that's pretty awesome to see for them because they've been in the sport forever. And they didn't play in 2015 as a team that first year, but 16, 17, 18, 19, they've been to the finals every year. They only won it once, but every year they've been in the finals since they started playing the second year in the Power Pro Invitational. So they're definitely a favorite going into this summer. I know Greg's got a video of you, Johnny. So when you play with Puck Fit that first year, it's a short clip because we have a lot of video footage that year. A lot of stuff was getting distorted for some reason, but here's a shot of a goal you scored against your old team, the Mudcats, here at the Power Pro Invitational.
Yeah, it's not the best clip, but it's definitely a Johnny Mack goal. That's for sure.
Starts back. Osterkamp comes in. Osterkamp got it to Mack. Mack fires, scores. Johnny Mack on the feed from Jerry Osterkamp ties the game at 2.
That must have felt pretty good scoring against your old team, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. I don't remember scoring many goals that weekend, but cool to see that one. At the time, I was playing with Jerry. Jerry laid it out there for me, and that's not a bad line to play with. Him and Ethan probably had Joaquin. Yep, there's Joaquin in the back end there. But yeah, it was cool. I think the Mudcats at that time were somewhat different guys than what I played with, but it was still probably 50% of them. So it was pretty cool. But
Now, is that your favorite spot to shoot from, Johnny? The right wing there?
Yeah, I'll do that all day. That's my favorite. Short side, top glove. That's something. I don't know. I just always see it first.
It's amazing to me because as a lefty, that's the same spot I would always go to as a lefty. Because I used to like the one time the puck, and coaching kids, and now I coach a little bit of ice. I work with all my lefties. I'm playing on the off wing. The righties, I'm playing on the off wing, and I always find it interesting for you as a righty that you didn't really play the off wing as much. You like playing on that right side. You weren't as much of a one timer or whatever. You get that puck. The goalie probably knew where it was coming, and you just had that accuracy to beat him short side over the glove so much from that angle. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I was never obviously guys who've seen me play, not too overpowering of a shot. So never really much of a one-timer guy. Didn't take your conventional, snapshot. It was more of a wrist shot, as I like to call it. Just kind of roll the puck off my stick. And like the closer I got in, the better. And just kind of see a spot and just go after it. I never really hesitated. If I saw it, I took it, like the whole left side could have been open. If I saw a little bit of daylight on that top right side, I was going for it, could have been a blessing and a curse, but it usually worked. So
yeah.
A lot of the Thursday night goalies are traumatized from that shot.
I saw at State Wars, Greg, 30 games played, 42 goals, 23 assists, 65 points career for Johnny Mack at State Wars. So more than 2 points a game.
Pretty good.
Considering, his last year of Black Ice, like he had said, he wasn't necessarily lighting the scoreboard up at that point. Just shows how much scoring he did those other years, and winning high score, like we said, in 2006. So pretty impressive stats. Anytime you're scoring 1 point a game, let alone over 2, is pretty impressive.
Oh, 100%. Now Lindenwood days, obviously you grew up basically in St. Louis, a lot of your time. You spent a lot of your time in St. Louis over the years. And then, it's pretty funny. You ended up at Lindenwood University in St. Charles. How was your time there, and how was your experience playing for Lindenwood?
It was actually a funny story. Many people apply to a bunch of different colleges. Like I applied to one college. I applied to Lindenwood. Kind of knew I was going there. I mean, you were there, Greg, and everybody else that I played with was there. I knew the area. I knew the people. So it was a fairly easy decision. At the time, had no idea what I wanted to go to school for. So I just said, all right, I'll just go play hockey, get my, general liberal art, my general classes out of the way. And I was there for a year and a half. First year we won the national championship. The next year I think I was there for a semester, and I figured out that what I wanted to pursue, a degree in exercise science, and they did not have it. So I was kind of bummed out at the time. I was missing home too a little bit, so I decided to come home. Going to community college for a semester. Then I ended up moving to South Carolina, living with my sister for probably one semester at this other school, Landry University. I did well in school there, but I did not like it, and I was missing hockey a lot. So,
didn't you play some Pi-Ha down there with Doug Jones?
Yeah, I don't even remember what league it was. It was some new league. It was like
hockey, maybe.
Yeah, it was like
the Buccaneers or whatever team. The Buccaneers. Or something.
Yeah, the Buccaneers. Yeah, and the league kind of folded, but it was like a bunch of these guys out there on these other teams that couldn't even skate, and they were just trying to take your knees out and all this. It was kind of frustrating. Our team was okay. We weren't great, but
maybe
that's the only hockey.
MLRH or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was the only hockey I played down there. So I was looking into transferring again, and at the time Lindenwood started a new program. It was what I wanted to go to school for. So I called up Ronnie B and said, listen, I want to come back. He's like, all right, let's do it. And, came back for another year and a half, I guess. First 2010, we won nationals again. And then that was my junior year. Then my senior year, we got upset pretty bad. I think it was Long Beach State or something like that.
Skylar Horse.
It might have been, yeah. I think we lost like 5-4, 5-3. There may or may not have been some terrible goals given up from the red line that game, slap shots, and we played terrible. We couldn't score. I mean, we were stacked. There's no really excuse why we wouldn't win, but we lost. So wish we could have that one back. It wasn't very fun going out like that, but I guess you win some, you lose some, right? It makes those times you win even sweeter.
Yeah, you won twice, right? So, Greg, in 71 games played, 71 goals scored, 83 assists, 154 points career at college for Johnny Mack. Again, over 2 points a game. No biggie. Pretty impressive. And then, John, in 2009, you had, one of the ultimate, experiences in the sport is you get a chance to play for your country. You played for Team USA in 2009, went to Italy that year. Your parents got to go out. It was a good shot with you with your dad and mom there. You guys won the gold medal. Just speak for a second about that experience of getting to represent your country.
Yeah, that was an honor. It was an unbelievable experience. That whole year in general was just amazing. But it was a great trip. Never gonna forget those games. I remember I roomed with Greg, and I remember going into the semifinals. I don't remember much about the round robin, but I do remember going into the semifinals. We were playing the Czech Republic, and they had guys that were like, I think their smallest guy was NHLer Thomas Plekanec, and he was like 6'2", 6'3", and just like built like a brick shithouse, and we're just sitting there the night before the game, Greg and I just talking. We're like looking at each other like, are we really playing these guys? Like, how the hell are we going to beat them? We're like, I just like trying to like strategize and think of ways. And I remember we go to the rink the next day and God knows how, but we ended up winning I think it was 7-0, right, Greg?
Smoked them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. Their goalie was like 6'7" off skates.
Roman handle.
We dominated the whole game. I remember one of their defensemen, this big lefty, took a slap shot. He broke the puck. He hit the glass and broke the puck in the middle of the game. And every time he shot, he took about 20 shots. He never hit the net, but you couldn't even see the puck, literally. That I remember that about the game, and I remember my dad. Every goal we scored, he's running around the rink, wooing it up, and everybody in that rink just staring him down, and it was so funny. And yeah, I still to this day don't know how we beat that team. And then we played Canada in the finals. Canada they didn't have a great team, but they had a good system they were playing. I mean, they had Hammond, they had Leggett in net. I mean, anytime you have Leggett in net, I mean, you can win a game, you can steal a game, Yeah, and it was a close game.
They had Terry.
It was a really close game. Terry, they had Chris Terry. That's right. I forgot he played that year. Woodsy, yeah. They had
Tom Gardner. They had a bunch of guys.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who else they had, but they were stacked. I think we ended up winning 5-4 in the finals, or Frenchie was blocking shots with his face as per usual. I mean, all I do remember I don't remember much about the finals, honestly. All I do remember is Frenchie. Sorry to bring this up again, but he had a backdoor almost chance to win at the end of or to tie it up at the end of the game, and I think the puck went up on edge or something, and he just missed. And I remember I was on the bench at the time, and I was just like, I looked up at the sky, and I was like, "Thank you, God." I was like, how did he not put that in? And it was crazy. I think Chris Knoll scored he might have had 3 goals that game.
Yeah,
he was on fire. He was ripping pucks everywhere. But that was such a cool experience, and partying that night with everybody time too. Couple bad things happened. I think we all remember that, but I do remember we were out and I was with Greg and the boys, and my dad was like, "All right, I'm gonna walk back," and it was a far walk back. And I remember on the way back, Greg and I started walking a couple hours after. And when Greg played in Italy for those few years, you got to know a bunch of guys. I remember a bunch of guys on the Asiago team he played with saw him, and they were like, Gregorio, you know, like, you need a ride, and then they picked us up and dropped us off at the hotel, and it had to be 2 hours after my dad left, and all of a sudden you see my dad on the side of the road, and he's still walking, and we're and we're getting back to the hotel, and then we catch up with him, and he's telling me he was bobbing and weaving behind buildings because he thought somebody was following him, and it's funny. That
was that guy that was wooing it up around the rink. Let's kick his ass, you know.
Yeah.
We definitely ate like kings that trip too. There was some good food.
Oh yeah, wine with every meal. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
And Johnny, Greg had brought up to me earlier. He said, you know, you had went out with him to Switzerland to play in the that Confederation Cup, and I guess your equipment got lost. Didn't get over there, and I guess you weren't in a pretty good mood from that.
Oh, that was a trip from hell. Yeah, my equipment got lost, and I think somewhere along the lines, I had a layover in France on the way there. I was living with my sister at the time, so I flew from South Carolina to Washington, D.C., had a layover there. Then I flew to France and had like a 6 or 8 hour layover. And of course, at the time, I was still sponsored by Tour, so I had the USA Tour bag and Tour stick bag, and I'm still convinced that was a dumb idea because I think in France, somewhere along the line, they saw it and they probably didn't like us, so they threw it aside or something like that. But yeah, you know, we got there, and I got there, and I met up with Greg and the team, and they're like, yeah, your stuff's not going to be here for a day or two, and we were playing the next day. So I was just bummed out.
I know how mental you are with equipment and stuff. So I had to drive you crazy, I'm sure. I have to wear someone else's skates and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I don't even like new equipment. You know, I hated it when I got new equipment. So I was freaking out a little bit. At the time, now I probably would have handled it a little bit differently because I'm a little bit less of a head case as I get older. But I ended up playing with PJ Tallow was playing on a team from Italy at the time, and ended up using his equipment for the first game. His stick was probably 12 inches to 18 inches too long for me. His skates are 2 sizes too big. But we ended up winning the game. And then next game we playing him. So I had to sit out, you know, and I was like, I came all the way here and I can't even play. Kind of sucked, but we won that game too. And then I guess my stuff came that night to the airport. Greg and I took a trip there, and we found my stick bag, and it had to have at least 6 to 8 different country bag tags on it. You know, it was just circulating around everywhere. And we just, at that point, we just kind of looked at each other and we just started laughing. You know, it's like, oh man, can't believe that really happened. But I ended up playing the next couple of games, and we ended up winning. So that was a really cool experience. You know, thankful for that experience. Thankful that Greg had me come out for that. It was a quick trip. I wish it was a little bit longer, but it was cool. I remember after winning, you know, those guys from Spain, they were nuts. We were in the van and we were driving back to the airport. They were all pumped up, and I honest to God, I thought that we were going to flip the van over. They had the Spanish flag out the window. They were freaking out. Greg and I are just like looking at each other, like rocking the van back and forth. You know, it was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. And for me, I mean, I think I was definitely out of college then, but I went to Barcelona first and hung out and practiced a little bit. And I think I even went back there after Switzerland, but John was still in college, so he had to get back home. So for him, you know, he traveled, you know, so many hours just to get to this tournament, and then he had to fly back home. So for him, he was in the air majority of the time, but you know, at least we won. That's what, you know, that was the saving grace of it all, winning, because if we would have won, that would have been the trip from hell.
Yeah, I think it took me 28 or 30 hours to get there.
Wow.
And probably about the same. I'll never forget, on the way home, I flew into Charlotte, North Carolina airport, which was like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes home from my sister's house at the time. And I got home at like 2 a.m. and I don't even know how I got home. I was so tired. And I think I slept for like a week after that. I think I just didn't even go. I don't even know. I went to class because that's who I am. But I think I probably fell asleep in every class I was in for about a week.
That's a long trip.
Yeah.
And people don't realize when you travel overseas, especially that's why like last year with our team, we try to get there a couple of days early to get situated. When you're flying into these countries with the time change and the travel part of it, it's hard to just jump right out there and play and be effective. It takes a lot out of you.
You want to throw some questions his way, Tim?
Yeah. So we'll do a little speed round here. Some State Wars speed round of questions, Johnny. Just let the fans get to know you a little bit. So are you more of a caller or a texter?
Definitely texter.
I think most people today are. Favorite food?
Something
I have a lot, but I like right now my favorite thing to eat is oatmeal with peanut butter, blueberries, and some eggs. That's my favorite combination right now.
Right, I guess in your line of work you got to eat healthy, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it, yeah.
I mean, on the unhealthy side, would you go Lion's Choice, or would you go Chipotle?
Definitely Lion's Choice. I think I've only had Chipotle 3 times in my life, and honestly, I've gotten sick all 3 times. I don't know if it was a coincidence or what, but yeah, I'm definitely Lion's Choice. That place is awesome.
Yeah, coming from New York, when you go out there, out here we used to like Arby's or whatever crap it is. You go out there, have Lion's Choice. It's just so amazing, right?
Oh, so good. Melts in your mouth.
So when you fly on a plane, do you recline the seat? Yes or no?
Probably about 50-50. It depends.
Okay.
Honestly, depends on how big the person is in front of me. If they're like big and they're reclined back and they're like in my face, I'll just sneak back a little bit. But yeah.
Missouri or New York?
Definitely New York. Nothing like home.
Right. No, for sure. Baseball or hockey?
Oh, hockey for sure. I think I like baseball because it was kind of slower. It was kind of the opposite, than hockey. But yeah, hockey, 10 times out of 10.
Now, as a goal scorer, what's a sweeter way to score a goal? Is it sweeter to come down your wing there and just snap one over the goalie's glove like you like, top shelf underneath, get the net moving up, or breakaway?
Yeah, definitely short side, top glove. I'll do that. I love doing that. I'll never not love doing that. Something about that. Just something about that feeling. Just awesome.
All right, the next one's gonna be tough. Is like pick between your mom and your dad, probably. But Lemieux or Crosby?
Oh, Lemieux for sure. But I just hate when people hate on Crosby. I mean, it's just like if they were on, if they had Crosby on their team, they'd be, sticking up for him. And it's like people are like, oh, he's a crybaby and whatnot. It's like if you're the best player in the game, you have video cameras on you all the time. You gotta you're gonna be vocal, and people just see what they see. But yeah, he's outstanding. I wish I could have seen Lemieux play a little bit more, but I've been actually digging up old YouTube videos over this quarantine nonsense, and I've been watching some old clips, and just like that guy is amazing. He's certainly unbelievable. Different time, obviously, of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I think if Crosby played back then, I think he would have 150 goals a season, and like guys like Ovechkin. But yeah, definitely Lemieux.
How many Lemieux
Crosby's
would
a clutch
have now if he didn't have all the clutching and grabbing and all that room out there and all the power plays? Lemieux would just be a monster even more. In today's game.
Oh yeah,
his size.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've played obviously with a lot of great players. In your whole career, and you've played against a lot of great players. So who would you say is the best player you've ever played with, and who's probably the best player you ever played against in your career?
With is tough. I mean, I've had the privilege, to play with a bunch of great guys. Greg being one of them, whether it was at nationals or Pi-Ha or whatever, just messing around. I mean, we've been playing together our whole lives. Ethan, who we just had on here, Jerry, another guy, 2 guys I've always, looked up to. CJ Yoder, of course. I mean, he can do stuff still. He's still playing. He can do some stuff out there that I'm just like, did that just happen? And he's still amazing. That the list I can go on and on forever, but that's probably the top 4 or 5 guys. And then playing against, I mean, that's a tough one too. I mean, right now, I say Matt White is just ridiculous. He's just so fast. But growing up, I'm gonna have to say Junior. Still to this day, I mean, he's one of the better guys. But I remember watching Junior and like squirts, like 12 and under, and he looked like he had a puck on a string. Like, he just do some things with the puck, and nobody could ever take the puck from him. It looked like he could score a goal at any time he wanted. And now, I mean, he's still doing that to a certain extent. Obviously, I'm not around as much anymore. But yeah, so I don't see all the newer guys that are playing. But I'm gonna say Junior. Yeah, I didn't think I could ever get the puck from that guy. That's on the offensive front. But on D, like guys like I remember I think his name's John Massey from Mission, right? The defenseman. That guy, he was one of the best defensemen I think I've played against. He was so good. I mean, I could never get around him. It's just like no matter where you went, he was in your face. He was blocking shots. He was poke checking you. He was throwing you around. Like, he was awesome. Probably one of the more underrated guys from back then. But yeah, he was awesome.
No, 100%.
He was, he wasn't flashy or anything, but he always, did his job, and he was a defensive.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't the biggest guy either. He just played the right way and got in the way, got into lanes, and blocked a lot of shots.
Yeah. Him and Frenchie were like, you don't even need a goalie back there. They were blocking shots all game.
Yeah. Jamie Yoder was like that,
Yeah. They were like guys that I play with, like similar to Siebel and Jamie Yoder when we had a penalty kill with the Mudcats, you could take 10 shots and those guys are blocking 9 of them, it's just like
and
crazy.
Leggett behind them.
Yeah, it's hard.
So Johnny, my last question for you is based on, what you know now with your job and strength and conditioning and training guys and stuff. What would or could you have done differently for your body, for young guys out there? Obviously, you got a lot of hip issues, which I even have. And for me, what's helped me a lot is riding the Peloton bike before I go play, actually loosens up my hip and I feel better. But what would your suggestion be to young guys out there of what they should or could be doing to help prevent that kind of injury? Because there is a lot of hip issues with hockey players.
Right. I mean, going back a few weeks ago, I mean, I loved when you had Larry on because I know he understands all that stuff as well. Very knowledgeable. I love following him on like Instagram and stuff. He puts out great stuff, but he said it and I'm going to echo it. I mean, it's overuse. I mean, kids should not be playing one sport their whole lives. They need to play multiple sports. They need to play baseball, lacrosse, they need to play like figure out different. I mean, play hunch over, your hips are working the whole time. Your upper back muscles are, like you are sitting at a computer, like I am right now, right? They're lengthened out. Your upper body, your chest tight, and it's like bad posture. You get shoulder problems. Things like that. I mean, if I knew all that stuff, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I got into strength and conditioning, because I wanted to help prevent kids and, just adults, anybody from doing the same stuff that I did. I mean, I honestly believe if I would have known this stuff earlier, I would have been able to maintain my body a little bit more, because I used to just play. I never stretched until I was 18 years old. I mean, I would play every day. That's all I would do, and if I could kind of ease my body into that, I think my longevity would have been a lot longer. But it sucks, but at the same time, it's like a lot of us watching this or listening to this, or a lot of us playing this, I mean, have what I have. It's called FAI, femoroacetabular impingement syndrome, right? It means the head of your femur, your leg bone, kind of sits in your socket of your hip, and there's a couple different ways it could sit in there, and I had this bad impingement, so just bone on bone. And it's not all preventable, right? Because a lot of people are born with it. Like I was born with it. You know, both of my hips are like that. My right hip was fixed. My left hip is actually, in fact, worse now than my right hip ever was. So it's really, it's tough at times. It is preventable in other ways, but like if you things like that, you can't really help it. You can just kind of ease the pain a little bit by doing other things. But yeah, it goes back to just being smart and strengthening the right muscles and stretching and not doing the same repetitive movement patterns over and over without doing something to strengthen those other areas that are lacking. And you know, I would love to get going, you know, I would love to train more hockey guys in the roller hockey aspect, kind of like you know, Peter Dale's doing there and things like that. I mean, I think it's awesome. Like I think Larry works with some hockey guys as well, but you know, I just think especially in roller hockey, it's a lost it's a lost art. Like people don't really understand it. And they think roller hockey, a lot of people, I think like, oh, play hockey, you boost, you play hockey. Yeah. Like that's what most people do, but like, it's fun. But at the same time, like a lot of these guys are playing, either they're playing in the summers only, or they're playing all the time. And if they're not fit for it and ready for it, you know, they could affect their ice season, or it could affect things down the road. So I think it's kind of something that needs to be, I mean, it is getting a little bit more popular, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed a little bit more often. And I think guys will be feeling better, not just playing better, but feeling better. You know, if you're playing great and you're feeling like shit, it's kind of sucks. So, you know, if you feel good, you're probably going to be a little bit more confident. You're probably going to play a little better. And, yeah, so it's kind of went off a tangent there, but I wish it was more of a common theme. And obviously, yeah, I just want to help people. So
I think more and more people are going towards that route these days, you know, with personal trainers and sports specific trainers. You know, you see it in a lot of different sports these days. And obviously you see a lot of, you know, the high end ice guys in the summers, you know, the NHL guys, and all the way down to the junior hockey guys. You know, they're going to hockey specific training, and you know, roller hockey players are the same way. I mean, there are a lot of pure roller hockey players still that should maybe look into something like that. You know, roller hockey specific training, kind of like a Peter Dale type deal, and maybe you could start throwing your name out there a little more, especially locally.
yeah, I think it'd be good. Definitely, I'm not too good on social media, so if I was good at that, I could probably help some more people. But I'm lucky I know how to use Instagram at all. I think I have about 6 pictures on mine. But last time I tried to post a story, I think I posted it 7 times, and my girlfriend yelled at me because I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I definitely think it needs to be addressed a little bit more. And so many times, like people think sports specific training and like if you want sports specific, like play your sport. Like so much of the off ice stuff, especially for a sport like hockey, is reversing some of the damage that you do on the rink. So like I said, it's stretching the hip flexors and strengthening the upper back and you know, strengthening the glutes and lengthening the pec muscles that are shortened all the time, bending over and things like that. And, you know, and then you do your specific conditioning and things like that. But like at the end of the day, lifting weights is lifting weights. A lot of it is kind of getting all those things that the repetitive motion and all those muscles that are dormant and not working to work again, to fire. And, you know, that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of guys probably think, oh, I'm going to go work out. I'm just going to do the bench pressing. And like, you're basically hurting. I mean, yeah, like you can get stronger, but you're basically hurting yourself because that's just the same. You're just kind of like reinforcing the same pattern you do on the rink and things like that. But I know it's not the sexy stuff that people want to do, but it's the necessary stuff.
Well, I think, you know, one big thing that really helps, and this quarantine, you know, by accident is helping that. And I know a lot of coaches don't want to hear this, but, you know, just rest, you know, taking a break
Right.
and getting rest, you know, where a lot of kids now have not been training 7 days a week on the ice right now and whatnot, which has probably been pretty good for their bodies to give them a little bit of a break. And I know having kids involved in sports, sports are, it's a huge business. They're, year-round sports. Everyone's battling for everyone's time and money, and every sport tries to go year-round. And these kids are just never getting a break. Where at least pro athletes have an off season. The kids don't really stop ever. And some kids are playing hockey 365. And besides the mental part of it, physically it's just not good for you. And you could stretch all you want, eat right, do whatever, but if you don't rest a little bit, it's like everything else they say with working out, like your muscles grow when you're resting. Like, you need to have some time off your skates and time off running the same patterns and pounding your knees and your lower back and whatnot. And I think that's why you're seeing so many kids today getting PT work at 12 years old, is because they're just doing too much. It's just they're overworked. And even if they're not feeling good, no one is stopping and saying, they just took a break. I'm not feeling good. I'm gonna take a couple of weeks off. Everyone wants to get rushed right back out there. You can't miss that tournament. Can't miss that game. Whatever. Sure, you were guilty as a kid. I was guilty of it. Greg's. No one ever takes a break, and it's not good for your bodies, really.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I think this quarantine situation is going to be great for a lot of guys, as long as they're still doing some kind of training. Because when the floodgates open again, everybody's going to want to be back out there. But I think that if they just, after a long season, I honestly just think the guys should just put the skates away for 3-4 weeks and just relax. I mean, physically on the body, but mentally as well. I know for myself, it's tough now. Like, I still train really hard, but I know when I take a few days off, I'm just like itching to get back, like, in the gym and like work out, and I think it was the same thing with hockey. Like, if I couldn't play for a couple of days, like, I was going nuts, and I think it's good after guys who play, especially guys playing all year. It's too much on the body. Like, the body's resilient to a certain extent, but when you keep, it's like, banging your head up against a wall. It's just like, it's just, you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And, I think the longevity and just the joy of playing, it will be a lot higher if you're not in pain. I mean, hockey guys are pretty tough. They play through a lot of injuries, so I just think, if you move well, you feel good, you're probably going to play better. So
yeah,
100%.
makes sense.
All right, Johnny. Well, we really appreciate your time today. It was great turning back the clock a little bit about the old days.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, real proud of you what you're doing now, and I think it's great stuff that you're doing with your career. I always love seeing good people doing good things. So we're definitely proud of you what you're doing, and just keep up the good work. And hopefully, we'll see you soon. I'd love to see you on a rink for sure. I know you've been lighting it up on the Thursday night Old Man League, so hopefully I can see you at State Wars again real soon, whether you got to wait till 35 or not. No matter when you decide to play, you're going to be lighting up top glove on some goalies for sure.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was definitely a blast. Love what you guys are doing. I mean, this is awesome. Just bringing everybody on here. Talking about the sport we love, and that's such a big part of our lives. Yeah, again, honored to be on here, and honored to call you guys friends, and definitely hope to see you and everybody else soon at a rink.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll see you on Thursday.
Get your nephew on the skates and get him in some tournaments soon. So,
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Tell a family.
All right, guys.
Tell everyone hello. We'll see you later, John.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
All right, that was Johnny Mack. It's funny, we had two guys today. If you hear the name Etan or you hear the name Johnny Mack, you know exactly what you're talking about, right? Obviously, Ethan's probably the only guy I know with the name, but it's
don't let John kid you. He's still in great hockey shape. If he went out there in a pro game, he'd probably be better than he was in 2016. I've seen it firsthand, and a couple games in playing against high competition, it might take him a couple games, but he'll be back to normal and be lighting up the lamp. So it'd be great to see him back in the pro division, sometime soon.
Well, he's one of those guys that, and I've met other people like this. My brother-in-law is kind of like this too, where they're like so good at their craft, and then if they feel like they're no longer the best of the best, they just can't handle it.
Up their level.
Because they're such perfectionists of their game. And obviously, as we all get older and you're working and you're not playing as much and your body breaks down a little bit. Most of us, even Wayne Gretzky wasn't as good as what he was, so, and some guys just love the game so much, they'll keep playing no matter what. And even if they're embarrassing themselves a little bit, and some guys just can't handle it, they want to go out on top, and that's it. I think Johnny's one of those guys. He's been such a perfectionist since he was a little kid. I remember him being a little kid missing that net, even though he scored 9 out of 10. If he missed that 10th one, he'd be slamming his stick and go to the bench with that pissed off look, so he had that fire in him. So I'm sure that's that mental side of it. But, the game needs guys like him, and hopefully he could get back into it now that he's more healthy and he's training and whatnot. Like you said, I'm sure he'll go out there and he could still be a top player for sure. And if he does come back in 35-0, there'll be no doubt he's probably the best player in that division when that starts for him. So
yeah, can't wait for that.
Yeah, right. And then you had Itan Chavira on. It's great seeing him, how he's come so full circle. He's always been a great player. Then he had that lull in a while, whether it was a drinking or things he had going on in his life that, he kind of fell off a little bit, put on some weight, just wasn't as focused or whatever. And most guys can't get out of that. And kudos to him. I know he gives his girlfriend a lot of the credit for it, but I got to give him a lot of the credit too, because no matter who's telling you, it's got to be you to make that decision. So, Itan has set himself straight. He's, again, one of the best players in the game. He's doing a lot with his coffee business and with the Cali street hockey and just someone that players can look up to and kids can look up to. And, just two guys today that we're just both really proud of to see in the sport doing their thing.
110%. I totally agree. It's funny you talk about drinking and sobriety, but Johnny Mack's another guy. He doesn't drink. He's never drank in his life. I'm sure he's tried a little here and there, but he's not a big drinker. And it just goes to show you, it helps out big time on the rink. And hopefully younger kids can see that. Kids who are listening. So
definitely, Johnny Mack's a great role model for kids for sure. And he's doing great things now with his real job, because unfortunately, not everyone's going to make a career out of their sport. So he's done more than just a hockey, which is great to see. Most importantly for his life. So it's been another great episode here. Great job, GT, as always. And we'll see you guys next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors: Mission Bauer, Tour, Alkali, La Beta, Rink Rat, Conix, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Yord Watches, Car Shield, Rocket Puck, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rink soon.
And we're out, guys. See you guys next time.
Thursday.
State Wars Hockey Podcast, Glass Half Full Productions. Be safe out there. Talk to you soon.
Take care.